Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, bringing you Can Icky Answer Me with co-host the star of the show, Jack, my man, and we are joined by the bone, Danny Kiriakou and Nick Lazy. Absolutely can't wait to get into the show. It is going to be a cracker. Some absolute great questions lined up. I do want to send out my, apologies first and foremost for the tech difficulties. Sorry for starting 15 minutes late. I had a few technical difficulties here with the StreamYard and stuff like that, so I do apologize. But look, we are, Jacko.
Yeah, here we are, Dave. Joined by Nick, who I actually was just speaking to on the day. He kind of was actually my Spurs buddy for the day. When people in need, you find a friend and a Spurs fan. Nick was mine, on Sunday as well. We just had a few beers, kind of just talk about, the Irish Hotspur, kind of talk about, he was even informing me on, the Argentina matter as it was happening, live. He was just showing me the pictures of, Gio and Romero being arrested on the field, and everything. So I will say it's good to have Nick on the panel as well. Obviously, Danny, he's been, waiting to join us for a while now. So it's good to have Danny back again as per usual. We're all flat capped. We're all ready. We're all, in our intelligent mode, David. We're all ready to have good debates, good talks, good jabber as well. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
No, we do. We have some absolute great questions coming up. And, guys, we really want you in the comments to really play your part and get your answers in on this on these questions, please. But look, let's get into it. Let's welcome some Harris Army in. So we have Sue Smith. Big up Sue Smith. Hashtag Harris Army. Hope things are well, Sue. Hope you're keeping well. I'm seeing says big up Harris Army. Big yourself up. I'm seeing hope things are well. Ken is holding his ankle. Could be injured. Look, he held a couple of times in the game. Hopefully there's no swelling, but if there is, don't worry, I'll be over there with a nice bucket and making sure I get him recuperated for to beat the Eagles on Saturday morning. Dark Sun G, big up Dark Sun G. Hope things are well. He says this is why I wanted Son to stay at Spurs. Korea beat Lebanon 1-0 without him. Son is our captain, but he's being overplayed. Like I said many times, our head coach doesn't know how to use Son at Korea. No, fair point. Absolutely fair point, Dark Sun G. And look, there is a super chat there from Dark Sun G, and we will get to that in just 1 minute, my man. Big up, Dark Sun G. Really appreciate it. We have Dan Ndombele rocking the Miley Cyrus haircut, Jack. Praying we see him over sticks on Saturday.
Yeah, I saw in the training video with, because it was kind of featured around Emerson, Tanguy was kind of in the dressing room, rocking the Miley Cyrus haircut. To be honest, if I had to pick between the Tuckers of Miley Cyrus and Tanguy, I'd probably still pick Tanguy, despite Miley Cyrus's brilliant touch. But with Tanguy, it's nice to see that, he's taking a bit of inspiration from Miley. Hopefully, he focuses on the football, less of the music career like Miley has. But as well, hopefully he also doesn't focus on the hair as much like Miley has as well. But yeah, honestly, Tanguy, I really need you to see you back in the squad more than ever, considering the injuries and everything that are going on. I mean, geez, Tanguy, we need you now more than ever. We need you to get back in shape, get back under Nuno's grace for sure.
But look, Jack,
yeah,
even if he is going to be MIA, and just hang around in the background, at least entertain me, come in on a wrecking ball or something like Miley Cyrus, you know what I mean? That'd be funny. David says, hi, Harris Army, looking forward to this stream. I absolutely hate international breaks. I think we all do. It's just getting boring, David. And by the way, you have the name of champs, name of kings, and name of many great men. So big up, David. He says, Adam McFarlane says, you'd Army, beat yourself up. Dark Sun G says, but the only upside that is Palace this week and not the Blues. So hopefully Son, Stevie and Skip can rest up, be ready for the Blues. Hopefully Son and Stevie are rested and ready for Mendy. 100%. I couldn't agree more. We have Derek Hutchinson. He says, I presume he meant to say big up. We have Golden Cock says, we all know you're watching the England game as you secretly love us. I'm not going to lie. I actually was watching a bit of the England game, to be fair. I had to keep an eye on my Harry, to be fair. I have to make sure he's okay. And he says, I've heard a rumour Dave loves England so much he's actually got Ireland's largest collection of Royal Dalton commemorative plates. No, look, honestly, I wouldn't be able to afford Royal Dalton. They're way out my price range, my man. But it's good to see you have a very good taste in pottery, my man. He says, big up David and Jack, hashtag Harris Army, big up Derek. Island Life says, big up lads, come on you Spurs, Tottenham Tantrum, big up Dermot, hope things are well. Hey, I hope you're all okay, as long as they're fit for the Blues in the bottom of the league. and the bottom of the league team will be okay against Palace. Yeah, 100%. Big up there, man. Everyone get over and check out his page on Twitter, Tottenham Tantrum. Adam McFarlane says the Irish Hotspur is a secret England scarf sniffer. Yeah. Oh, you guys are full of jokes today, so you are. Absolutely love it. ATM Nerd says this is Gil's chance. It definitely is. Definitely is. Who else have we got here? We've got Zoe.
Big up, Zoe.
Says, welcome, lads. Big up, Zoe. We have Josh Seven, Mason for England manager. Mr. K is in the building. Big up, Mr. K. Hope things are good with you, my man. Big up, Mr. K. William McKenzie says, David, I see your fresh groom. Looking sharp, my man. Yeah, I've got a fresh cut underneath this bad boy. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. You need to start, getting onto the people that make Peaky Blinders and get me in there, guys. Thor Thompson says, this may be just the best panel I've ever seen. Wow. Big up, Aaron Dove as well. We have Goalkeeper. Hope things are well. We have Paco Miguel Escobardo says, hi, guys.
Big up, Miguel. Big up, Miguel. Senor Escobardo, big up, absolute legend. The Don Escobardo, as I want to start calling him. Let me know if that's all right with you, Senor Escobardo, because you're an absolute legend. He's been everywhere with the Harris Army, Dave. He's always in here in the streams. He's watching everything on FlatCapEurotalk. He's an absolute legend, like Catman Jess, absolute legend, like AE, Edelston, absolute legends. Honestly, Paro Miguel Escobardo. Let me know if it's okay to call you the Don Escobardo, because it just sounds right. It rolls off the tongue just perfectly.
He'll be absolutely loving that name. Of course he will. Big up Chris. Big up Aaron Dove. We have Slow Jamrod. We have Old Soul in the building. Big up Old Soul. We have We're a Sly, Toffee 20. Jerry Ndombele or Ndomblondie, K. Alexander. We have Matthew Barker, and we'll take this super chat from Dark Sun G, and then we'll get into it. We'll start handing the questions off to the panel. Dark Sun G says, also, if Matt is taking a hiatus, will you be doing a watch along on your channel until Matt returns, or will you do the watch along on Matt's channel? Look, I'll speak to Matty about the Palace game. If he's not doing a watch along, I'm sure me and Jack, could do one. And look, what I will say is that we will only be able to go on about 15 minutes before kickoff, maybe 10 minutes before kickoff, because I will be doing the pre-match pump-up on We Are Tottenham TV. But Dark Sun G, don't worry, tune in Friday for Stats with Jack, and I'll confirm where the watch-along will be. Big yourself up, man. Really, really do appreciate it. And guys, make sure you do smash that like button. Give me the look of the Irish as much as I need it. Just smash it and give me the look of the Irish, guys. If you love me, or even if you hate me, it doesn't matter. Hit the thumbs down button. It all counts to the YouTube algorithm. So make sure you just hit one of them. And make sure you do smash and subscribe on the channel, guys. A big push for 5K is on. And look, if you want to be like me, you know what I mean, when you're ordering a burger and chips and you just can't wait any longer, skip the queue, get a super chat in, guys. You know what I mean? And it's a great way to support me and Jack on our journey through YouTube. I get weak at the knees around the pick and mix as well. I can't help it, got a bit of a sweet tooth. Again, sometimes I pay an extra £2 just to jump the queue. So guys, you can afford. If you want, you can do that. And guys, we know that not everyone is in a position to be able to afford super chats. Don't worry about that. We've got you covered over here. We guarantee you we will get your comments up on the screen as well. But look, enough of me. Let's pass it off to Jack, the host. Jack, take it away, lad. I believe I'm having a few bits of internet trouble here, so I'm just going to sort it out.
No problem, David. Appreciate that. And I will say to Dark Sun G as well, maybe I'll just highlight that. We're just trying to figure it out with Matty. Dark Sun G, he's done so much for David and I, especially for David. He's done a lot. So we just want to make sure, Matty, if he doesn't feel like maybe doing, the upcoming watch alongs for a few games, maybe we can take over. But, it's just something we just want to, take our time on. No rush about it. For us, I would say no rush about it for us. Dark Sun G, I know you really want us to be doing it though. So Dark Sun G, if it comes to it, we would love to do it on this channel. But Matt Hayes is, an extension of this channel in a way. So we don't want to, I would say, step on his feet at all or step on his toes, considering how much he's done for us. But Dark Sun G, absolutely big yourself up. Absolutely big yourself up. And yeah, we'll let you know, Dark Sun G. We'll let you know. But yeah, looking forward to it, especially considering, some of the commentary that David and I have had in private, in certain watch alongs. I bet you would enjoy it, Dark Sun G. Lots of nicknames, lots of Mr. 33s, lots of Harry Stinkses. I know you would enjoy it. But to the panel here, I know this is, the Kaniki answer me. it's time to basically crack into it. I'm just about to bring up the first question here for the Harris Army. In terms of it, but maybe as I'm doing that, I feel like we haven't actually greeted you. We have a new man in the building here in terms of Nick. Nick, you've been on the fan show plenty of times, but you're a fellow friend of the Harris Army, a cap of the Harris Army. How are you doing today? Is everything all right in your Spurs world and your regular world? Is everything all right with you?
I mean, I can't go as far as to say everything is all right, man. I got a visual representation of what my life is like right now. See this? My favorite mug? That happened yesterday. All right. That's basically my representation of the squad at the moment.
Oh, the stem is broken. The stem is broken.
The wife did that in the sink yesterday. I mean, it's basically like the squad right now. It's still a mug. Yeah, you can use it. You can put it out on the pitch and it will give you what you want. But will it really do the job? That's the question. That's the question on everybody's mind right now.
Brilliantly,
it's certainly hard to know. It's certainly hard to know. Danny, before I get to these super chats, how are you doing as well? Are you keeping all well? Everything all good in the hood? Is everything good at work? Quickly, is everything good with Spurs for you? In terms of the the Spurs Twitter world, I feel like has been a bit more divisive than maybe expected. Is everything all good with you?
Yeah, everything's good, man. Work is work. Same old rubbish. Too much stress, too much work. That's all it is. But Tottenham are keeping me going, so that's the main thing. Tottenham, my girlfriend, so everything's good in that respect. Starting to play football again, so I'll just come back from football. We won. What was it? 8-4, I think it was 8-3. So yeah, of course you couldn't have a better end to the day, to be honest. Coming on here, so yeah, pleasure.
Definitely. That's good to hear. Good to hear that the girlfriend's been treating you well. Hopefully she'll treat you with 3 more points this upcoming Sunday, Danny. But Tottenham tantrum here. Dermot Moyle saying, I think we get 8 points off of the next 3 games. Come on, you Harris Army. Absolutely, Dermot. So that would be Crystal Palace. That would be the Chelsea game as well. And then I think it's the Scum after that. Am I not mistaken? Is it Chelsea then the Scum?
Yeah, man.
It's a bit brutal there. 8 points, he says. So he's probably thinking, maybe we drop points, against Chelsea, which to me, I think would be, very generous to us. I would see 6 points from that. I think that if we were to get 8 points from that, I mean, maybe I'll just quickly ask the panel here, would you guys be disappointed with that? I think that'd be a success if you ask me.
6?
With 8 points, 8 points from 3 games, 8 points from those 3 games.
Yeah,
absolutely.
100%.
I think the way Chelsea look right now, a draw would be something to smile at. We're away there, right? We're at Stamford Bridge.
I think, yeah, we are away at Stamford Bridge. So even just to get a point would be a victory. You are right.
I mean, they look the strongest right now of anybody.
Yeah, I mean, they are my title favorites, I would say, and as well, maybe a plug for FlatCapEurotalk, just because David did have Chelsea as well as me as the title favorites for the season. But Danny, do you feel like it's 8 points? Is that too much to ask, or is that just realistic? What do you feel like?
I don't think we can even get 8 points mathematically. It's only 7 points. If we get 2 wins and a draw, it's only 7 points, right?
Oh yeah, we are a bit. We are a bit sad. No, sorry, everybody. The Irish Hotspur having a bit of a mathematical moment there. Sorry, everybody. But 7 points, everybody.
But no,
is that possible?
Yeah, like Dermot. I know Dermot.
We're that good though. 8 points could be possible.
Yeah. They'll just give us a point just for having a nice kit, mate. That's all it is. But look, I think 7 points. I think if you have to beat one of Chelsea or Arsenal, right? I mean, do you know what? Obviously, the one you obviously want to beat is Arsenal, because it would be embarrassing if we get a draw to that lot down the road who's sitting bottom of the table. But I would like a beating Chelsea. I think is better for their confidence, if I'm honest. Yeah, I think if you beat Chelsea, they're the European champions. They're tipped for a title challenge this season, like to push Man City all the way. So you beat the best team, the second best or best team in Europe, and you beat probably one of the best teams in England as well right now. Then for the confidence, but imagine if you have like Tanganga and Dyer at the back, right, and they go and beat Chelsea and they don't concede a goal, we beat them 2-1. It's going to give them a world of confidence, all of the players. So for me, I know people might not agree with it.
The more clean sheets, the confidence. The more clean sheets, the confidence grows.
If it was up to me, I'd like to get. Obviously, we want to beat Chelsea and Arsenal, but I think beat Chelsea in the game and our next game, and then if we draw against Arsenal, I wouldn't mind that as long as we beat one of the two. But for me, I'd rather beat Chelsea just because I think mentally it's better for the team.
I love that. I love both those answers. Just to clarify, 7 points is what we're going for. 8 points, is probably a bit of a stretch, you might say, maybe even mathematically impossible, some might say. But with 7 points, I feel like that might not be too much to ask from the squad. It's also something that might be a bit realistic at the same time. I think it's what we should strive for. But absolutely, absolutely. And Tottenham Tantrum, Dermot Moyles, really do hope you're doing okay. I know we've been speaking to each other today, but Dermot, I hope everything's all right over there. And as well, Tottenham Tantrum is a Twitter page that everybody can just, take a look at when they just need their Tottenham news just filtered a bit more, from the Fabrizio Romano, from the everything else in the world. If you just need a bit more of a filtered source, just check out Dermot at Tottenham Tantrum. James Fitzgerald here saying, I'm biased, but Gavin Bazzuno looks world class. Before David comes in on this, I will say James Fitzgerald, I was saying this even to David before he even, he didn't even ask me, on my opinion on Bazzuno. I told him, I was like, that Bazzuno guy, kept them in the game, I would say, against Serbia, not only for his distribution. He seems to have really good distribution, good technical skill, but I will say he also had some very, 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 very class saves as well. Some good kind of reflexes, especially against the likes of Mitrovic. Mitrovic had 1 or 2 chances where you would say, he probably would have buried that against any other keeper, but it seemed like Bazzuno was just having, the night of his life, I would say. But maybe he is just, a keeper to just keep an eye on for the future. But Dave, thoughts on Bazzuno? Am I right? Is he kind of world class like James is kind of saying?
I think he'd be a very, very good goalkeeper. Look, give this kid time to keep developing. Look, his distribution is very, very good. This guy was playing for Shamrock Rovers and got a move to Man City at the age of 16, and they've just had him in the academy, basically doing what Ederson is doing with the distribution and everything else. And, he's a very good shot stopper too, Jack. He's a very good shot stopper. He's put in some very, very good performances for Ireland. Look, he made, I think, one mistake in his early time for Ireland. But, Jack, this guy has only really established himself over the course of the last few games. It's not like he's been in there for as long as he looks, as he looks comfortable. He looks very comfortable in there, but he's not even been in there that long. This kid is one to watch out for, and I think he will be a very, very top goalkeeper. And I can't see him really letting his performances slip, because Mark Travers is the guy behind him. That's the guy, when he played for Bournemouth against Tottenham, saved absolutely everything that time. It was his debut for Bournemouth. And then you have Caoimhin Kelleher at Liverpool behind him as well. But so I can't see him letting the green jersey slip out of his hands anytime soon. But he's a very, very good goalkeeper, one that to definitely keep an eye on. A good spot, James Fisher, a good spot. I like to see people, that have similar opinions on young players like that, man. It's absolutely brilliant to see. I'm glad you put that in, my man. Big yourself up, James. And Jack Dark Sun G here again.
Yeah, Dark Sunji saying, isn't it Chelsea at home? Since it's Palace away and the Gooners away. Also, I hope we can fight like before the international break. No more boring derbies. Absolutely, Dark Sunji. Dark Sunji, you're way ahead of us. Like I've said a million times, Dark Sunji, we're practically calling out for you at this point. We need you on the fan show. We just need you as, a vital member. You're already a huge member of the Harris Army, Dark Sunji. You're, like I said, you're a king, of the Harris Army, practically alongside Ellie as the queen, on the chessboard. You're an absolute legend of for the Harris Army, but we'd love to have you on the fan show just so, you can correct us on these kind of things, Dark Sunji, because believe me, you practically make, Stats with Jack look a bit, amateur sometimes with the ways he's able to correct us like this. So Dark Sunji, you're absolutely right. It is going to be Chelsea at home, and it is Palace away, and it is the Gooners away. Maybe if I were to pick one, if I wanted to get some points, if I wanted to get those 7 points, I'd probably say it might be easier if we had Palace at home and the Gooners at home, and then maybe Chelsea away. We could grab a point there. So it's probably going to be a bit more difficult considering these away fixtures and these home fixtures. But let me know, Dark Sunji. And then as well, I do hope that, these aren't really any more boring derbies, considering with a lot of derbies every weekend. Sometimes the best game of the weekend isn't actually the best game to watch, but hopefully with Spurs and with Nuno football, we all know it's going to be the best football to watch. I would say sometimes people have said, Spurs have been playing boring football. Me personally, I'm just that biased. Every time Spurs play, I really just I'm not that bored. I'm just too intense. I just can't really relax really. So for me, any type of football we're playing is beautiful football, but I know that's extremely biased towards us and extremely positive, but we are known for that. But let's crack into the questions here. But Dark Sun G, really do appreciate you as always. And we will let you know about the watch along scenario with Matt Hayes. But moving on, guys, should Gio and Romero, considering this, Argentina situation, with Brazil. Should Gio and Romero have known better? And Nick, I'm going to come to you first. Should Gio and Romero have known better, done better, or is there someone else to blame regarding this whole situation with, you know, Brazil, the health officials there with Gio and Romero? You know, who would you really blame? Is it Gio? Is it Romero? Is it Spurs? Is it, you know, Brazil's politics? You know, how do you see this whole situation, Nick?
Man, I got a very clear opinion.
Is there even anyone to blame? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there is, man. I think it's squarely on the AFA. I know a lot of people like to say, you know, how dare these two? How dare they go against the will of the club? How dare they put themselves in danger? Yeah, listen, I'm backing my man first, straight up, sink or swim, you know. But my thought is, I know that these are grown men, but most of these people are academy products. You know, they've been in football their entire lives, especially in Argentina. And I think we all know it's rough out there. They take things very seriously, even more than they do in Europe, from what I hear. And, you know, these guys are coached and helped along the way their entire careers and their entire lives. And they don't break wind unless somebody tells them to. And, you know, then they tell them how loud it can be. You know, when these guys get on the plane and they got off in Venezuela, they were all corralled together, and there's somebody that's part of that organization that takes all their visa information and has a stack of the forms that they got to fill out. And these guys are not sitting on a plane 4 o'clock from each other. Oh, what are you going to wear on here? Are you going to put the two in? That conversation never happened. That didn't happen. There was somebody there, part of the AFA, whose job it is to make sure everybody's got their passport, everybody fills out their information. They filled out those cards, and they said, you sign on the bottom here. If anybody gives you a hard time, we're going to take care of it. Don't worry about it. And they said, okay, you know, and they did what they do every time. You know, that's why they locked the door in the locker room and wouldn't let them in. You know, the club, their teammates wouldn't let the Brazilian health authorities in there, you know, because they were told to do that by somebody. That's my opinion. The blame lies squarely on the decision-making process of the AFA. Now, as far as, you know, the Brazilian authorities go, I mean, it was a Keystone Cop situation, obviously, you know, running onto the pitch. When does that happen? You know, when does that ever happen where you see the police stop a game? But I guess, you know, this is the world we live in with, you know, COVID right now and confusion that it creates. Yeah. And possibly because of the animosity between these two teams, you know, maybe somebody's got a grudge, somebody's got a chip on their shoulder. It says, we want to stick it to these guys.
No, I mean, you seem to have it all down, Nick. I will say a lot of the comments are even saying that in the Harris Army. It seems like you're very informed on this. And I will say, you know, even when I was sitting with you on Sunday, it seemed like you were one of the first ones on the case as well. But I would say, you know, I kind of agree with you, you know, even when I've gone into the country, you know, with the missus, you know, when me and the missus have gone to Mexico, she fills out, you know, everything for me just so I don't make any typos, any errors. So it would be kind of ridiculous to see Romero and Gio, you know, filling out their own forms on the plane and everything. It does seem like there is someone paid to do that. There probably is someone paid to do that for them. And so I do feel like that maybe is something that's been kind of brushed over. But how do you feel about it, Danny? You know, is there someone to blame here? You know, is it Gio and Romero? You know, as much as, you know, we've kind of advised them not to do it, it is their right at the end of the day, you know, no matter the situation, it is their right to play for their country, considering it is Argentina as well, which is, you know, one of the most historic teams to even play for. Do you feel like if you were to blame someone, who would it be? Would it be Gio and Romero? Would it be maybe Spurs? Would it be the Argentina FA? Would it be the Brazilian, you know, health authorities? How do you see this whole situation?
Gio and Romero, absolute knobheads. No, I'm only joking. No.
I mean, in a way they are. I think, you know, as much as we are defending them, you know, that is their decision, and this is the risk you take, even, Danny.
So I'm kind of gonna agree with what Nick was saying, because I did some research on it, right, and also just on my opinion. So from what I saw, it's that I agree, it was the AFA that who was kind of pushing them to go. It wasn't actually the club or the players. The club said, no, we don't want you to go. But the players were like, they were going to listen to what the club wanted. But it was the Argentinian FA who were basically like saying, no, you have to go. We want you to go. It's a massive, massive game. It's a World Cup qualifier against
They also
Brazil.
have three of these in the space of 4 months or something as well.
This is the thing. So this is a huge, huge game, right? And obviously the Brazilian authorities, well, the Brazilian FA or whatever it is, they I can't remember what they're called now. But yeah, they abided by the rules of the clubs in England, abided by the rules, and the Brazilian players didn't go over. And I just think it was the Argentinian board that was pushing it, because I think they
forced
saw
their hand.
Well, yeah, they saw it as they need to have every single player available to them, their best players, and obviously Gio and Lo Celso to them are starters for them, so they have to be in that team. It's their best chance of qualifying for the World Cup. And maybe, and this is just my opinion, I think maybe there was a bit of bitterness from the Brazilian side of things, because for them to run onto the pitch, right, 5-6 minutes into the game, because their clubs and everyone abided by the rules that they'd set, and the Brazilian players, 9 players weren't allowed to go to Brazil, and obviously there's probably some top players there who couldn't go, so they probably felt like what, they're gonna have their players there, I'm not having this shit, so they're probably feeling, right, that's it, we're stopping this. And that's personally what I think was the reason why they really forced it to stop the match. I don't think it was because, honestly, let's be real here, right? If you've got common sense, right, these are professional footballers who are tested twice a week, right, at the moment, right, and all they had to do, if they really, really wanted to do, they could have a PCR test done there. And once they leave, before they leave the country, once they get to the country, they can have PCR tests. I mean, these they've got the best doctors in the world, elite sports players, and really, if they wanted to, they could have done things like that, like have exceptions for these type of sportsmen. But I think it was pettiness, which is the reason why they kind of intervened the way they did.
Yeah.
And I think it wasn't the players' fault. Of course, the players, right? They want to go.
They're almost so coddled that it couldn't be their fault, you know.
Well, yeah, but, I mean, can you blame the players, right? Because the players want to go and play for the national team. It's one of the, for some of these players, it's their biggest honor. It's the most proudest moments they have, putting on the national team jersey and playing for their team in a World Cup qualifier against Brazil. Like they're the main rivals. So it's a huge game and there's a lot riding on it. And yeah, I don't blame the players one bit. I think if the clubs really wanted to stop this, they could have really stopped it, in a fairness. So it's partly them as well, because they could have said, right, you're not going if you do that. They could have made themselves more clear, and they could have like put things and said, right, if you go, this is what's going to happen. But I don't think that would have happened. They probably just would have said, we don't want you to go, or things like that. They probably would have made it. You know what Tottenham are like? They're very kind of cryptic when they say things to people, and when they say things to the public, when they say things to players, it's always cryptic kind of. It's like, okay, well, what's their actual hidden meaning behind what they're saying? So
quickly, though, Danny, do you feel like this situation did need to be cryptic, though? Because at the end of the day, they can't just say to them, look, you can't, not go. They have to say, like, we strongly, it's one of those things. We just strongly discourage you, Well,
what they would have said was, knowing the way Daniel Levy works, he probably says, we strongly advise you not to go over.
Yeah, it's like, it's like going near a cliff,
Yeah, it's like we advise you not to do it, but they're not saying, do not do it, do not go. This is 100%. If you do this, there's going to be big consequences. I don't think they would have made that clear, because I think the players probably would have thought a bit differently about it. But again, I think what Nick was saying is that the Argentinian FA would have made promises and says, don't worry, we're going to sort this. We've got everything covered. Don't worry, you'll be fine if you come over. And they probably would have been like, okay, then yeah, look, we're going to go. We want to play for Argentina. We're going to play against Brazil. And that's probably how it was. So yeah, I think the Argentinian FA is the biggest blame here.
Yeah, and
Two fantastic answers. I will say, one, the diplomatic side, the legal side, everything from Nick there, kind of giving us the whole lowdown, not the Brazilian side, the Argentinian side, and then Danny, bouncing off of that. I mean, we'll say, David, I don't think you'll be able to stand up to this. Those two fantastic answers from the two there on this. I mean, anything to add to it? I feel like who do you like to blame?
Look, me, I'm blaming the Brazilian FA all over, or just Brazil, to be honest with you, because, look, I think this has been an easy shot at 3 points, I'll be honest. The fact that the Argentinians travelled, some of their players couldn't travel, I do think they've seen a sneaky shot at 3 points. Look, I get it. You know, the forms were filled in wrong, all that sort of crack. You know, you can blame Argentina for that. But look, at the end of the day, they let them into the country. They were in Brazil for 3 days. Yep. You know, they tried to get them at the hotel room. Were too late. Then got stuck in traffic. Let the game go ahead and then stopped it. You know, look, for me, I'm going to say I'm blaming the Brazil FA. I think they've seen a sneaky shot at 3 points and come on top of that World Cup qualifier group.
A cheeky side note there, you know, so if Brazil is on the UK's red list and the UK is on Brazil's red list, then it doesn't matter what the Premier League clubs had to say. Nobody from Brazil would have been able to go and play regardless, right? Because they all played a couple of days before. They would have had to quarantine 14 days in Brazil while the qualifiers were going on.
Yeah, sure.
You know? Somebody in the Brazil FA must have looked around and said, "Oh, I wonder who Argentina has on the plane."
Yeah.
Interesting
to think about.
Interesting. And Nick, I will say, you know, maybe something for you to think about here. I apologize, you know, apologies for putting you in this situation here, but you know, in terms of maybe this new news about Daniel Levy being elected into the ECA, the European Club Association, do you feel like, you know, maybe it's time for you to put on your tinfoil flat cap? I might say, you know, Nick here, you know, maybe just put on a bit of the theory version of your flat cap. Are you worried, concerned, or maybe do you just feel kind of indifferent, you know, towards Levy taking on this role and power?
It's fantastic news. Fantastic. Anything to divert this man's attention away from trying to develop a football club is great news for me. I mean, it really, honestly, because
the more distraction, the better, I guess, is what you're saying. Yeah.
He gets to feel like he's involved, you know, he's doing things to positively let not only the Premier League, you know, I mean, this is going to give this guy
a big boy board.
Yeah, he's obviously got a bit of a Napoleon complex, you know, just from what I've seen. But you know, gives him a bigger platform, a new title, right? Yeah. You know, and let Paratici do his job and build a football club. Levy's the kind of guy where you really got to play. He's got to be playing to his strengths, and he's definitely his business acumen is hard to discredit. But his ability to build a football team from the pitch up is concerning to everyone. So the further away, the more, you know, attention he has drawn away from what's going on at Tottenham, the better, man. The better. It's fantastic. I think it's great news.
See, you say that, Nick, right? You say that, right? But you just, people need to remember. I'm not gonna like go on a rant or anything, but people need to remember.
No, he's got his tinfoil on the flat cap. You can see it shining.
Levy, no matter what he does, he will always have his hand in everything. No matter what, he will never let Tottenham out of his sight just so that Paratici can do his job. Because at the end of the day, he's still gonna sign off on the deals and the contracts and etc. Right. He's the final yes, isn't he? He's the final say on it.
His title is still chairman at the end of the day,
and he's still a chairman. He's the only chairman in the league that actually owns a percentage of the club.
Right.
So it's going to give him even more reason why he wants to have a hand in everything. Because at the end of the day, whatever decision is made by other people, it affects his business.
Yeah, but Danny, at the end of the day, you know, in terms of this appointment, do you feel like, you know, again, you know, your tinfoil flat cap must be on here. You know, I want you to be at full delusion here. Do you feel like he was brought on to the ECA, you know, to reignite maybe the Super League from before? Because he was, you know, he stayed a long time. You know, he didn't leave the Super League right away, right? Do you feel like he was brought on to reignite the Super League, or do you feel like he was brought on to just, you know, someone they kind of admire because he's always good at the profit-driven, you know, kind of initiatives and everything?
I'll tell you one thing, right?
It's one or the other, though, because it can't be both when you think about it.
I think everyone knows what it is, right? Daniel Levy, in terms of business outside of football, he's an unbelievable businessman, right? Unbelievable. And I don't mean he's a good businessman in football, because we've seen that over the years, how he's lacked to put his money where his mouth is, in a sense, when the time really needed it, when he needed to pay the extra 5 million, the extra 10 million for a player, which essentially could have actually propelled us to have more money by getting higher up in the league, go further in Champions Leagues. So essentially that's a bad business decision. But in anything else, right, you want Daniel Levy on your side because that man is one of the toughest
He's like a
negotiators.
shark. You're bringing in a shark.
He's the toughest negotiator. Every single person in football says Daniel Levy is the toughest negotiator in football. Now, you would rather be working with him than against him. And to have someone like that, who's an accountant, who's a very intelligent man in that respect, right? He's going to help in a lot of ways because what Daniel Levy, look, you have to
what
give
better
Daniel
bully
Levy,
against UEFA
you know
as well,
right?
just to further
you have to give
argument.
Daniel Levy credit, right, to some extent, because what he's done at Tottenham, right, when we were a mid-table club, he's built us, right, from where we were. Obviously, Pochettino built us on the pitch, which also helped at the same time, but he's managed to get us to a stage where we are, where we're one of the richest clubs in the world, right, but in a way where it's self-sustaining, where money hasn't been pumped into the club by the owners. Everything that has gone into Tottenham has been generated by the club. And that, in a sense, is brilliant business in that respect, right? So to do what he's done in that way, people from the outside would be like, that man knows what he's doing. I want to work with him. I want him on board because he's going to generate money for you because he knows how to do it. Yeah. He knows how to do it. He's an accountant. He knows the best way to make money and to get the best deals possible for things. So, yeah.
And speaking of the person he replaced, Nick, he replaced the Juventus's Andrea Agnelli, and Andrea Agnelli was the one practically one of the main players behind the Super League as well. So do you feel like they've just kind of brought in Levy as just maybe just someone else that can, in a sense, just he's someone that's advocating on behalf of the big European rich clubs. Do you feel like they just see him as that kind of, I don't know how you put it, right, that shark or that dog that they just think is the best one for it?
Yeah, and I think that they take a look around at the last couple of months and see what just happened with Levy and Harry Kane, and they say, yeah, that's the kind of negotiator we need backing us
against UEFA.
I think they've probably
been
thinking that for a long time, but now it's the time. They want to choose a new leader, and then who's the biggest pain in the ass to everybody else he's got to negotiate with.
Yeah, and also as well, to everybody, Levy did replace Ed Woodward on the board, but I would say in terms of the Andrea Agnelli, I'm pretty sure he was removed. The Juventus parts of that ECA were removed, so it was kind of like maybe you replace Ed Woodward, maybe you praise Agnelli. I'm not quite sure, but there are, I think, two people that are missing or have been replaced from that board, and it is interesting now to see Levy into it. I will maybe give my thoughts on it quickly before I ask Dave on it. But for me, I think it's just maybe what the people below me have said before quite expertly. Is just they bringing in somebody who is going to be very profit driven, and maybe that might be through the Super League. I really doubt it, considering that someone like Levy, I think, probably might even know he doesn't need the Super League. He's very good at finding the money where it isn't. As well as we know that. So it just seems like somebody that they're probably seeing as, someone they can even pick their ear on, just somebody that's good to have on these boards. And it's maybe Nick knows as well. A lot of people, sometimes you're on the train on, the big, powerful, rich people on the train, there's nothing more than they love them bragging about which boards they're on, how many boards they're on, et cetera, the big boy boards, as I call them. But David, Is Daniel Levy, what should we make of this? Should we be putting on our tinfoil hats and, maybe screaming, to the horizon about Daniel Levy joining this European Commission Association or this European Club Association? Or should we just maybe realize that they're just kind of seeing, the horrible, profit-driven qualities in Levy and just realizing they need some of that?
Look, I'll be honest with you. I think it's plausible it could go down either route. He's either there to make the money or he's there to somehow, coerce people into a Super League. Look, one thing is,
David, it's both. He can do both, man. He's going to. Super League's not dead. That's going to happen, guaranteed.
But the thing is, if he does the Super League, though, Danny, it's counteracting and taking the best teams out of European football. So the money.
They don't care, do they? Though.
Yeah, but the thing is, it can't be like this. Is what I think.
It's not as profitable for the Premier League.
I'm struggling to see it being bought because, for me, it has to be either or because the Super League is taking all the biggest clubs out of Europe, the revenue makers that make the money and filters down the pyramid. So you're taking them out of the equation and you're just leaving European football without them. So at the end of the day, the money's so he can't be making money for that because it won't be there. And then, doing the Super League. Look, that's just my opinion. Look, for me, I'm going to sit in the middle on this because he literally could go down right route. They've recognized something in Daniel Levy. That look, he knows how to generate money. No one sitting here can deny that. The guy knows how to generate money. And he's very stingy with it as well. You know, he counts every penny. So he'd be a good man to get in if they want to bring more revenue into like the Champions League, UEFA League, Europa Conference League, you know, and stuff like that. You want an obscure way of making money, Daniel Levy will get it for you. You know what I mean? No problem. Look, he sold one of the sleeves on a shirt this summer. You know what I mean? To cinch. So don't worry, he'll get your money. But could be entirely plausible that he could be there to ring in about the Super League, because he's very sneaky. No one knew that Tottenham were going into the Super League to the very, very last minute. Other clubs, there was maybe a bit of a sniff, but Tottenham, you didn't know. You know, and with Agnelli being out there and so aggressive with it, they've obviously realised, okay, this isn't the way to go about it. Get rid of him. Bring in someone who, like, you know, is a bit sly, a bit slimy, you know, a bit sneaky, and put him in, and maybe he can bring about. Look, do I think he could be stupid enough to make the same mistake twice? I hope not. I want to live in belief that I hope he doesn't. And look, I would be leaning more to making the money for Europe rather than, you know, the Super League. I would be leaning a bit more towards that, but I wouldn't rule it out. I'll be honest with you, I thought the Super League was dead and buried. But, you know, if you're replacing one guy who was advocating for it to another guy who, you know, put his hat in the ring for it, doesn't fill me with confidence, I'll be honest with you.
No, I mean, doesn't fill me with confidence either, you know, and I'm not even in any way trying to spill it. You know, I'm just, maybe the original question was, did they bring him, you know, to reignite that Super League right away? Or did they just bring him in because, you know, like I said, you know, he's just that money shark. He's just that guy, you know, just knows how to find the profit where it isn't, you know, where they haven't thought about it before. And so that's why I also just think he's just, you know, unfortunately, he's just a bit of a wise head when it comes to those things, you know, to have on that, you know, a bit of a nice, you know, clever, sleazy man is probably what I would say. And again, you know, that's still being kind to Levy in those words. Yeah, Danny, what's up?
No, I was just saying, like, I feel like it's a little bit of both. Like it's for the now.
Yeah,
and
like
for the
David
future,
said.
because it's like the Super League's not happening right now. I've said it from when it was first announced. It's gonna happen at some point. I always say that it's gonna be in a different kind of form than they first announced it. It's going to be a way where a lot more people are happy with the format. And the most important thing is that everyone gets a piece of the pie, 100%. If everyone is getting money, more money than what they're getting now, everyone will agree to it, because that's what it's about. Unfortunately, nowadays, no one cares about the glory and this and that. Unfortunately, I know as fans, we care for the glory, right? But the problem is they are businesses, and especially because of this pandemic, clubs have felt the effects of it, and they're like, well, we look at Barcelona in disarray at the moment. They're completely fucked. So for the biggest clubs, for them to kind of live the way they kind of want to live in a sense, then they're going to need more money coming into the club, even though they do generate more money than everyone else. So it's just like anything in life, right?
I'm telling you, Barcelona is probably picking Daniel Levy's ear at the moment, considering, you know, Barcelona. I mean, some of the deals, if you really do look back at some of the deals they've made, whatever it was, Paulinho for 40 million, you know, and things like that, just really shows. I mean, they could have, as much as this would hurt Barcelona, I mean, they definitely could have used a bit of the Daniel Levy stinginess, you know, a long time ago. They definitely could have used it a long time ago. And that's maybe horrible to say out loud. I will admit that is horrible to say out loud. But moving on to Paratici, guys, you know, maybe we're not starting it off easy, a bit different. You know, usually we kind of ease into it on Nicky Answer Me, but I will say we're starting hot and heavy here. In terms of maybe the recent transfer window that we just concluded, do you feel like, you know, with the recent signings and everything, that maybe it is a bit of a Dom Paratici argument or not? You know, are you Dom Paratici camp or are you not? Maybe you don't have to be. Maybe you can be in the in-between kind of circle. Doesn't really matter to me. It's just a nice little catchy line. But Eurofootball Daily has called, you know, Brian Hill, one of our signings, you know, one of the deals and one of the bargains of the last, you know, transfer window. They've called Romero the best defender of last season in Serie A, and Pape Sarr supposedly to plenty has been called the new Pogba, right? Simply put, like, with all these maybe new young signings, you know, maybe mostly under 23, under 24 signings that we're going for, do you feel like, you know, Paratici's kind of going for a whole revolution? And with that revolution of signings, are you Dom Paratici or are you not? Danny, I know you're going to give a good answer for this one, so if it's all right if I go to you first. you know, what camp do you find yourself in? You don't have to be in, you know, one or the other. It doesn't have to be polar for you. Maybe it could be in between. You know, we're not pressuring you here. You know, it's the positivity cult here. You know, we let you be wherever you want to be. So wherever you want to be, Danny, how do you feel like on this?
So I'm like 55-60% Don Paratici, but it's not yet. I won't say it until
a crack over 50.
Yeah, I would say so. Like, look, I've said it before. In the last time I was on here, that for me, the transfer window has been a very good start, but that's what it is. There's nothing more than that. It's a good start, right? Because he's got rid of a lot of players. He's taken what 39 million pounds off the wage bill. He's got rid of like the deadwood, like your Sissoko's, your Gazaniga, Danny Rose with the contract, Aurier termination. You've and everyone else who went. So and obviously he started to bring in a little bit of a balance between class and I would say class is Romero. He'd be the class one, but he's also young. And then a lot of youngsters.
He's 23. He's younger than me.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I'll
exactly.
just tell you, he's younger than me.
So that's the thing. Like, I'm seeing here is a plan and a vision, and that's what I like. But I won't call him a Don until we're challenging for that title again, because we've seen where we can be, and the aim is to get back to that, right? And I want to see a trophy. If we win a trophy because of the work that he's done, the work Nuno's done, then I will say, yeah, he's a Don, because we haven't seen a trophy in 14 years nearly now. So it's about time we actually fucking win a trophy for once. And I think that
it's true.
Yeah, I just won't say it until we actually see some proper difference between like the last 5 years or last 3 years even. Because we could have had Paul Mitchell here, right? And he could have, if given the chance, he could have revamped the squad, right? Like, and Paul Mitchell's philosophy was similar, by the best young players, right? They went for the more English players. Paratici's going for the more worldwide players. He's going for players everywhere. Italian league mainly, obviously the odd players here and there, like the odd player in Spain, odd player in France. So he what I like about him is that he's got an eye for a player, and you just hope that his vision comes together the way we all want it and we all expect it to happen. And obviously it's going to take him a couple of windows, but I think you can't give him that title and for another until another few windows have happened, basically. That's what
maybe we're all jumping the gun here, but there's nothing more I love to do. I will tell you, there's nothing more I love to do. And speaking of that, Nick, a lot of the football hipsters, they've been telling me, they're tapping my shoulder, saying, listen, there's a lot of moves over at Tottenham that we like, over at Football Daily, the kingdom of football hipsters, they're loving all the transfers we're doing there for the money and everything. I mean, how do you feel about these transfers? Are you kind of getting a bit of that Don Paratici fever, or are you kind of like Danny, where, it's only kind of easing in, or you're not too sure yet?
I'll tell you, man, I'm going to buck the trend, and I'm going to go full Don on this one, man. And for three reasons. First reason, don't we all want a Don at the club? I mean, come on.
We need one. We need at least one at this stage.
We got Don Hotspur, but, he's not in the office. We want a Don in the office making the decision.
It's too dangerous for the office.
That's reason one. Reason two is calling him that ticks off so many people who think they're level-headed. I'm looking at you, Box. And it is hilarious. It just ticks them off so much that I would like to keep it up until it stops ticking them off. The third one is, didn't he already earn that at Juventus? Didn't he already earn the Don moniker at Juve? I mean, the 9 titles.
Yeah, he's got to do it at Spurs, though. He's got to do it at Spurs. We need to see that Don shine through at Spurs. That's what we need.
Considering the word belongs, I believe, to the Italian language, it does make sense that he earns it in Italy first, then maybe earns it in England. Do you feel like he could earn it in England?
I think
Nick, could he earn the Don title from the?
I think he's made as good of a start as he possibly could, dealing with the circumstance. I mean, the whole managerial issue that went on for God knows how long. I'm still having flashbacks on that. That set us back. I mean, hey, we would have liked a second striker, but I think the genius of it has yet to be seen, and that's why it's so hard to rate a transfer window, until you're into January, because I think that there's a lot to be seen. I know there's another question coming up, so I may pull back on that until we hit that question. But yeah, I'm gonna go full Dom because I already respect the guy. I respect his philosophy. I also really like Mitchell, and I think he's got a lot of that in him. But what I also love is as soon as the Harry Kane thing started to the fit started to hit the shan, so to speak, and Kane didn't show up, he had a plan immediately. He said, go get Lautaro, put Lautaro plan into action and make that bid. And we didn't learn about that until a week and a half, 2 weeks later that he put it. But it was like that Monday, he said, put in the bid for Martinez. And that's because he's thinking ahead. And he's obviously thinking ahead with the youth that he's putting through. And he's trying to solve all these problems one at a time. He had a list, man. He's been working on this for months before we even heard his name coming through. He'd been working on this.
Yeah, I think he was working before he was even paid, Nick. Quickly, on that Lautaro thing, just quickly, do you feel like if you were to give any regrets, about I feel like I haven't asked you about this, if you were to have any regrets about the transfer window, would it be maybe that, it kind of felt like, we had the opportunity to sign Lautaro before Chelsea signed Lukaku, and whichever one went first meant that was the one that was staying at Inter. Do you feel like we missed out on that?
Yeah, I do. Although
it's hard.
There's a couple of things with that. I mean, getting a striker this season was as hard as it could possibly be. And if you look at just at the stats and the availability and who's coming to the end of their contracts, etc., next year there's going to be a hell of a lot more strikers on the market right now. So anybody that we're going for would be at a premium. I personally wanted Vlahovic because I think that the ceiling is a lot higher. And he has the potential to fit in to the way we're building in a great way. But Fiorentina saw what everybody else is seeing around. His price tag was like 40 million, and then all of a sudden it's 80 million. All of a sudden they're not going to let him go for 100 million, and they're tying him down. Everybody started looking around at their most valuable players and panicking and started to try to get them to sign contracts and up the price. And with that being said, I think what he did as far as getting Romero and Emerson in, man, it was no secret around world football that Tottenham Hotspur Football Club had defensive issues. Getting in anybody in defense was going to take a very long time. It was going to be like pulling hen's teeth, like my mom used to say.
Even overpaying because they knew that we needed it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think
David, I was going to say to David, it felt like he was reading from your Bible there. And it almost like he improved your Bible. I will say, David, again, with Nick's answer, it's almost like he's updating everying, and the Harris Army Bible. He's almost improving you, David. I will say it's almost like he's taking everything you're about to say. I can tell.
No, look, first of all, I do want to say to everybody, this is the only thing you didn't say. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and feel free to get in the super chat if you're enjoying the show and help support the channel. Look, for me, just because it sounds good, I'm going to call him Papa Don Paratici. Just because it sounds good, I couldn't care less. I'm not going to argue with people over is he a Don, is he not a Don, really. I'll be honest with you. For me, just because it sounds good, and, sometimes I like to big up people at Tottenham a bit too much.
One Don to another.
I'm positive, Mr. Delusional. So look, I'm just going to keep calling him Papa Don Paratici, to be honest with you. Look, I've shared my views on the transfer window. I've thought we had a decent enough transfer window. It was going to be a window where you could never, ever get all the business done in one window. We were always going to come out the back end of this window, whether it be we didn't get another centre-back, whether it be we didn't get another striker. We were always going to come out with this window with something we didn't get. It was always going to be the way. Look, at the end of the day, I get it. We still have, the likes of Winks here. There's some players like that. But we got rid of 8 players this window. Sissoko, Aurier, Lamela, players people wanted gone. The list goes on. We got rid of 8 players. We got rid of Gazzaniga, who's our backup keeper, and we brought in Galini as a backup keeper. Lloris has 1 year left on his contract. So we are sort of beyond that without having to be extorted in the market next summer for a goalkeeper. Look, we definitely should have money to spend January because of the way we structured deals this summer. With the Romero, doesn't have to be paid to next season. And Galini doesn't have to be paid for another 2 years. So the way that he has structured the deals, I think, has been very intelligent, which I'll be disappointed if we don't have money in January to spend, or if someone comes out and says we don't have money to spend, because, if we did have the money to go after Lautaro Martinez, although it didn't happen, we should have that money to be spending in January. So look, hopefully we can just build. Look, where I'm at now is, right, I'll be honest with you, is I'm going to sit back, I'm going to watch what unfolds, and look, I'm going to give him another transfer window in January and another one next summer, and then I'm really going to start making my decision on it. Because look, with the massive rebuild he had on, with us being in the Conference League and not the Champions League, how much pull do we really have for players? You know, look, we've already got turned down by Pau Torres, Lautaro Martinez. You know, there's a few that we got turned down because we're not in Champions League football. So I'm just like realistic. If you think about where we are at the conference, in the Conference League right now, it's up to us to be able to kind of do what we've done, is get in the likes of a Romero. Look, I know some people are saying don't overhype Gil, they don't like this Gil Messi talk, but I'm calling him Gil Messi. For me, I think this guy, you know, I think he's actually going to be a very good baller. Look, sometimes you don't need stats, you don't need this. You can just look at what he's producing and say, yeah, this guy is clued in. He knows what he's doing. You know, he's a very clever player. He's got good football IQ. And for me, we now have to get these players into the team along with what we have and try and get ourselves back up that league table, back into Champions League, or, you know, finish fifth in the Premier League and hopefully get that pull again next summer where you can start enticing some of these big boys over and then make a push from there. Look, we had a lot of players. We have to remember, like, people need to remember how bad it got last season. Sissoko stopped running. The players just stopped performing. Players were making idiotic mistakes week in, week out. This was a serious rebuild. Pochettino told us it's a painful rebuild coming. And we have to be able to give Paratici a chance. We have to be able to give him a chance to be able to try and build what he can. Look, we all know that Daniel Levy is the one signing off the checks. We all know that, right? But at the end of the day, you look what the business Hitchin brought in last summer. You know, 7 players. How many of them have come fruitful? Probably Højbjerg and Regular. Mm-hmm. You know, where are the rest of them? So at least this time round, I'm hoping if you look on this summer, and maybe we can compare it in January and take stock of where Gil, Romero, Galini, you know, where they're all at. Emerson, you know what I mean? We can take stock and see where they're all at and then see whether we've had a decent window or not.
See, do you know what, Dave? Can I just add something to that?
Yeah,
I think I agree with what you're saying. I just think that with the players you brought in, because they are young, a lot of them it's their first time in England, so they've got to, like, they're young players. They've got to adapt to the different kind of animal, like in the Premier League, right? Because that's what it is. It's this. There's no other league in the world like it, right? And they've got to also adapt to the language. They've got to adapt to their surroundings, their outside, their personal life, like their home and stuff like that. And so there's a lot of things there's a lot of changes for them. So I think everyone. I judge players based on a season, because you can have a really bad half a season and you can have an amazing second half season, or vice versa, right? Because you have to remember, right? Even in a couple years ago, even Son, we know Son has some purple patches at times, right? I remember Eriksen as well. Eriksen, he used to go until December or November and he would be absolutely shocking. And then all of a sudden, Eriksen comes alive and then he's like the best player in the best playmaker in the league. And you're thinking, what goes through their heads? Like, for all of a sudden, they just somehow change.
It's like a light bulb, yeah.
Literally, and that's the thing, right? So it's like a lot of these players, they will go through these patches, and a lot of the players, they need time to adjust. So I think we have to give it till the end of the season before we can judge them and say, okay, we assess it. Let's see where the squad's at, and then I think Paratici and Nuno will assess the end of the season and say, okay, this is what we need to tweak again this summer, or think, etc., etc. And I think personally, they're planning what they're going to do in January already. I think they're going to see if they can do something, whether or not it's going to be for now or for next summer. I think they're going to try and do something.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nick, I just want to get one more opinion from you on this before I give mine and we wrap it up. But to everybody in the Harris Army, you know, I feel like there's some fantastic answers, you know, from everybody. It is a bit, you know, maybe getting ahead of ourselves, right? To maybe start calling him the Don. But if you're kind of like maybe me or maybe or David or even maybe Nick here, where it just sounds nice, sounds like it's rolling off the tongue, you're practically already at 70% Don. So you might as well just go full Don. You're already at 70% Don. Might as well go full Don. Let me know, Harris Army, if you're as delusional as us, if you're already full Don, if you're Don Paratici, just let me know in the comments. Just like to know, just get a gauge from everybody. But Nick, anything else maybe to say, you know, any last final thoughts, you know, like about, you know, maybe why you're already maybe feeling like, you know, Paratici is a huge change or a huge improvement?
You know, because I see a plan, man, you know, and that's really like somebody has an idea of where to go with this club. You know, and not only that, it's somebody else is in control. There is someone else in control other than Daniel Levy.
With different ideas.
Yeah, and that's got to be positive. And it just looking at the moves that he's making so far, you know, and you know, I'm going to go on a limb and say bringing in Nuno, because I know that Nuno wasn't anybody's top choice, but he was very aware of Nuno and tried to bring him in at Juve. You know, so I like where it's going, man. I like where it's going, and I want to give him the benefit of the doubt going forward, without a doubt. It's better him in charge than the alternative.
I like how Nuno speaks. I like how he speaks. He's articulate the way he speaks, but
like I said to you, Danny, he's the guy that was grading your test, you know, for that last exam that you had. You know, he's the guy that, you know, if you're given a thesis, you know, for your doctorate, he's the person standing at the table across from you, you know, reading it, you know, giving you the critique.
You know what though? Look, Dom Paratici or not, just call him what you want. If you want to call him Dom Papa Paratici like me, go ahead. You want to call him, you know, Sugar Daddy Paratici, if that's what you want to call him, just call him it. Who cares? At the end of the day, you support them how you want. It shouldn't even be a matter whether he's a Don or not, and, you know, judge him by the business whether you're going to call him Don. You want to call him a Don, just call him a Don. You want to call him Sugar Daddy, call him Sugar Daddy. You want to call him Papa, call him Papa. I couldn't care less. Just do what makes you happy.
Absolutely. Moving on, guys, we're kind of going to be going back to maybe a bit of this injury scenario and a bit of this scenario with Argentinian players as well. Maybe combine maybe the recent injury reports that you also maybe might be well aware of. But do you feel like, you know, considering this last international break, which is probably, you might say, has been absolutely nightmarish for Spurs fans. We had a Sonny calf injury. We had a Bergwijn ankle swelling. We had a Skippy groin injury. We had a Sessegnon, you know, returning early for something maybe that he had picked up earlier. And then we had Lo Celso and Romero, you know, fighting their way out of, you know, Brazilian jail. Do you feel like this club should have prepared for this scenario, maybe via the transfer market? Or do you feel like this is simply just an outlier or like anomaly scenario that we just find ourselves in? Maybe Danny first. Or Nick, or whatever one, so you don't feel passionate about this.
All right, man. Well, you know, I mean,
is this an anomaly, or is this something we should have prepared for? How do you feel about this?
I don't think it's an anomaly, but I mean, how much can you prepare, and how deep is a deep squad? Really, is my question. Because would you have preferred to keep Sissoko and Aurier? You know, I know we all wanted another striker, another creative midfielder, and a winger. You know, I give Paratici so much credit for getting some of the quote unquote deadwood out of the door. You know, there's things that you just cannot plan for. You know, the Lo Celso and Romero thing is the one that sticks most in your mind. Injuries, you got to be prepared for injuries. You know, and thank goodness, you know, we got 50 fullbacks right now. You know, and we got a handful of center backs right now, because we have some people to come in and at least fill in for one game, we hope, right now. So, I mean, it's bad, but I don't think it's a crisis right now.
Yeah.
We're going to have to see what happens on Saturday and who's actually playing, though. You know, is Bergwijn actually playing? That's going to be a big question. Sonny, I mean, that's a number one question, I think.
The only thing I would say in contention, you know, to that, you know, Nick, maybe do you feel like, you know, considering, you know, the arrests of our Argentinian players, should we have had, you know, maybe some Argentinian players on the side, you know, just on $100,000 a week, you know, just in case that had happened?
With like a keep
like Lo Celso's cousin, you know, as many have said, you know, Lo Celso's cousin that continues to show up, you know, or is Lo Celso's twin, you know, maybe we should have just had him, you know, as a backup. But to Danny, you know, do you feel like there were a lot of injuries, despite, you know, the fiasco that went down in South America? Do you feel like we should have prepared for this maybe a bit more?
Look, I mean, we've had fucking 20 years of this shit from this club, right? Let's get it right. They're never gonna have.
It's not a surprise,
a big
maybe
enough squad with actual strength and depth, right? It's never. Not while Levy's here. Maybe in a couple years, maybe 4 or 5 years, when we've started to make some money again. Or, I mean, I'd like to ideally see it in a couple years' time, but I just can't see it, right? So the thing is, I know it's unfortunate, but the problem is, hasn't Levy learned his lesson in 20 years? We are Tottenham. We are the most unluckiest team in the Premier League. There's period. It's not. That's just what it is. The amount of shit that we've had to go through, right, over the last 10 years or during the Poch era, right? Just everything, just injuries. I mean, the lasagna gate. We were one game away from top 4. I mean, who gets food poisoning? A fucking team gets food poisoning a day before the fucking last game of the season, and we finish 5th because we can't beat West Ham. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, honestly, man, like the Tottenham is unlucky. It's in our blood, unfortunately, right now, and they need that. That's hopefully what you're going to hope Paratici can get out of our blood, right? Because he's done it at one of the biggest Italian clubs in the world. And maybe this is his chance to kind of thrive and shine in a different kind of way at Tottenham, right?
Yeah.
Look, I think like it's hard to prepare for it. Of course, we all know we need a more depth. But I'm gonna say this, right? If those players who are still available cannot win games, they shouldn't be playing for Tottenham. Period.
Yeah, and I guess we're going to be finding out maybe that against Crystal Palace, Danny. Do you feel that way? Like Crystal Palace is a really good test. Of course, Passos de Ferreira in the first leg was maybe a good example, but do you feel like this is an even better example?
Well, look, yeah, of course. I mean, look, we've still got Harry Kane, right? He's still fit. Ndombele, he can still play some part and affect the game. I know Dele Alli, we know, and you guys know what I think of Dele Alli. Look, he's giving it a bit more, but he's still not great, and we all know that. But at least we've got another player there. You've got Højbjerg still fit. You've got Lucas still fit. You've got Brian Hill. Maybe this is a chance to give Brian Hill the game time. I want to see him play, man. We all want to see Brian Hill play because he's exciting, because he runs at players, and this could be his chance to go. I'm going to take this chance with 2 hands. Like, do you know what I mean? So. And you've got maybe this is a chance for if Rodon's fit, Rodon can come in, or Tanganga can get his chance at centre back and try and prove to people that he's a centre back. Emerson might get his first game, so it's good. It's still exciting. Like it's not all doom and gloom. I said it as well. I know we've got a lot of injuries, and you want all your players fit, right? But look, it doesn't look like so far that the players that did get injured, it doesn't look serious with all of them. It looks like it could be a couple of games, 1 or 2 games here. Son was a precautionary. They didn't play him for a precautionary, right? That's hope.
And he was carrying that injury supposedly.
Yeah, so it might be he might just miss 1 game, right? Okay, fair enough. Even if it misses the Rennes game, it's fine. Like it's 2 games, it's fine. Same for Bergwijn. Bergwijn had ice on his foot, and he actually had a good game in Holland when he was playing for Holland the other night. He actually had a very good game. So again, his confidence is looking good, and I think he could be back in 1 or 2 games. And Skip is the biggest worry for me because obviously that's one of our biggest problems in the central midfield. But look, Højbjerg can do it, and Ndombele can get off his ass, and actually Nuno should be brave enough to put him in the team, even for 60 minutes, 67 minutes, right? He needs to play. Like, if I would go with like an Ali, a Højbjerg, and a Ndombele. That's what I'd do in the midfield 3 if he's going to play with a 3 in the midfield against Palace. That's what I'd do.
Yeah, we'll get onto that midfield, but I already love that.
I don't want to see Winks play. I'm sorry, I just don't want to see. If I see Winks there, I feel like I'm going to turn off the game. Honestly.
You might have to, but at least just keep it on your phone, Danny. That's all I'll say is just keep it on your phone in the pocket. Maybe just be listening to it on the radio. But Graham Taylor here saying, I blame David. And I think he meant for the original question. So Graham Taylor is just keeping up on the original question. I love that, Graham. I absolutely love that. And he says, I blame David when it comes to, who should we blame for this whole Argentinian fiasco? And he says, when he said we were lucky with injuries in this international break, and then bang, what a number of injuries. Keep up the great work. Absolutely class. Super chat, Graham. I will say, this is probably going to take the title, right there in the beginning. It might take the title, David, for probably the super chatter tonight. What do you think, David? I think there's nothing else you can say to it, David. It's just caught you red-handed.
Yeah, no, look, I get the blame for everything else, so why not blame me for this too? Look, I don't mind being the one that everyone wants to blame. I have no problem. I have big enough shoulders. I can carry it all. Not a problem. No, look, just blame me every time you want. I don't mind. But look, it is what it is. Injuries come and go. Injuries happen. But look, the fact that Lo Celso, Sanchez, and Romero could have left us in a lot of a better position does grate on me a little bit, I'll be honest with you. And it probably, I would say, unlucky rather than, could have been avoided. But look, of course, you can say, look, we could have brought another midfielder, another striker in the window. Fact is, we couldn't, or we didn't get it. And or what I would say is we didn't get the players we wanted, so we just didn't bring in bodies like we have done before. Yeah. So that's the way I would put it. And look, it is what it is. But the fact of the matter is we should still have more than enough to beat Crystal Palace. Now, I've done a lot of research on Palace today. As you know, Jack, gave you a full scouting report, lad. Done a lot of research on Palace today. And all I'm going to say now is if Harry Winks plays in that midfield, Conor Gallagher is going to ruin him. Trust me.
100%.
All 3 of their games this morning, and he is their main man. Not only is he good going forward, but he will pick Winks' pocket. He's quicker than Winks. He's stronger than Winks.
Everyone is quicker and stronger than Winks. Every player is better than Winks. Winks should not be playing for Tottenham. We know this, innit?
I know.
But yeah, Danny, no, he's saying Conor Gallagher will basically just be. He's good at. He's not only good going forward. He's not only good with the brace, but he's good at pressing Winks.
No, I know. Everyone is good at pressing. What I'm trying to say is anyone in the Premier League is good at pressing Winks. Yeah. He's shocking. He should not be a professional footballer in the Premier League. And if he is playing in the Premier League, he should definitely not be at Spurs. It's not his level. He's not good enough. He needs to get. And David's right. He will get torn to shreds. Conor, what's his name? Conor Gallagher. Did you say Conor Gallagher? Yeah. He's a good player, right? He will look like Zidane against him. He will look like prime Zidane against him, and I guarantee you that.
I'm telling you, no, look, I've done my homework. I can see it coming.
You're right, Dave.
I can see it coming. But big up Graham Taylor. He says, keep up the great work. My man, really appreciate the support. Too kind. I really, really do appreciate it. Everyone, keep getting the super chats in if you're enjoying it. If you want to skip to the front of the queue, you know what I mean? You want us to just skip everybody else, and get straight to you. If you're impatient like me, get the super chats in. Jump the queue. It's a great way to support me and Jacko too on our journey. And look, if you just want to show natural support or anything like that, no problem, get it in. But we will keep getting everyone's comments up. Don't worry. We know there's people out there. We know that, look, sometimes life can be cruel. So don't worry. We'll get your comments up. Dark Sun G21 says, instead of Mr. Easy Pass and CDM, I'd rather use Dele as CDM and use Tanga as a cam rather than Dele cam and Easy Pass CDM. Bring Niall John and Harvey White. Jack, this is what I was saying to you earlier on, maybe a bit of a 4-2-3-1 around it, back to what Poch used to play. That way you're not expecting Tanguy to do work that you can't do. Dele Alli has shown that he can do the work. So I would say that's a very, very good option, Dark Sun G. But again, look, if Nuno's set that he doesn't want to use Tanguy, fuck it, I don't care. I'll bring in Niall John. Bring him in. He cannot do any worse than Harry Winks, in my opinion. Yeah. So give him a go. Harvey White, maybe a bit of a stretch. Maybe it's a bit too soon. But look,
bring a banger in training, I will say.
You will see him on the bench. I think you will see him on the bench. Big up, Dark Sun G. Really appreciate the support. Jack, do you want to say that to Dark Sun G, and then I'll answer your question?
No problem. Dark Sun G, I love that midfield that he selected. I was even saying this, earlier today, Dark Sun G, but I'm pretty sure you probably had the idea, before me, which is probably why I got it, and was saying it to David. I bet we were probably just speaking to each other, subconsciously, Dark Sun G. But in terms of it, I would think it's possible. And Dark Sun G, just let me know. Do you feel like maybe Dele might be better at that, Tanguy role from last season? I don't think that role really worked at all. The person that played next to Højbjerg as that, also box-to-box midfielder next to Højbjerg last season. But could Dele be better at that than maybe Tanguy was? Could Dele be better at the Tanguy role of last season? Let me know, Dark Sun G. But if we were to do Dele, Tanguy, Højbjerg, I mean, the creativity is just going to be unbelievable as well. We all know with Tanguy, he's going to give you good 60 Ndombele's minutes, just skinning every player. And then by then, he is going to get a bit tired and he's going to need a milkshake and need to come off the pitch. But, it is just personally, I think that would be then, put in Niall John, put in somebody that's going to be running all over the pitch. I think it'd be perfect. I don't think necessarily we need to use Winks, but I do probably see Winks maybe being included. So, Dark Sun G, I do apologize. And I just said Winks to Dark Sun G as well. Mr. Easy Pass, I do unfortunately see Mr. Easy Pass he might be used. He might be used for this game, Dark Sun G. So I do apologize in advance. But I love your midfield. I love his midfield option.
He comes alive when he hears, Mr. Easy Pass, his name. He comes alive. Big up, Dark Sun G. And look, just back to Ndombele. Look, should he walk back into the team after everything? Probably not. But look, we're at the position where I'd rather him play than Harry Winks, to be honest with you.
1,000,000%.
And I just want to say as well, maybe we should start trusting in some of our youngsters a bit more. Start giving them minutes. Look, we have holes in the squad that need to fill. We have academy for a reason. We know we have a very, very talented crop of youngsters to pick from right now. So look, why not throw some of them in and give them a chance if we're at that situation? But big up, Dark Sundry. Really appreciate the support, man. Absolute top man. But Jacko, the question. Go on. Back to you, Jacko.
No. And as well, Sean Snow, I think, just said something. He said, my dead gran is apparently better in the center midfield than wings. Sean, all I can say is only you know that better than us. Only you know that better than us. I can't speak for that, but all I can say is, in terms of Winksy, maybe, just maybe, it seems like your gran might be playing fewer hospital passes, things like that into the midfield. Maybe your granny just had a bit, better turn on the ball, a bit better turning radius, but only you know that better than me, Sean. But absolutely class banter, Sean, absolutely class. Big up yourself. And Zoe here saying, would rather White than Winks. And Zoe, absolutely class. Yep. Love to see you, Zoe, as well. Always a true legend in the chat, David. She's a true legend. Yeah. And Zoe, I would say I did see Harvey put in an absolute banger with the left in training today. When we were all looking at Emerson and Tongi's new haircut, it was slipped into the cut. Harvey White had a nice little cheeky banger, I would say, in training. So it might be nice to include him in the squad, maybe coming in off the bench or something for the likes of maybe Tongi, in the 60th minute. That might not be a bad choice, but yeah, Harvey White is much better than Winks. I'd much rather just Harvey White just be there than Winks. I mean, they even have a similar surname, so I might as well.
Yeah, big up, Zoe. Couldn't agree. Look, I think we will have to at least. I think definitely you'll see Winks on the bench, but hopefully you see Harvey White there as well. And if we need anyone to come on, hopefully Harvey White comes on. Big up, Zoe. Really appreciate the support. And Sean Snow, absolute legend.
And guys, I mean, I think we were kind of touching onto it, so it's a perfect segue. And I want to go to Nick here. With all the injuries in mind that we were just considering. I mean, of course, also Nick. Maybe not all these injuries might be true. We probably, as Spurs fans, might be getting way ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, there's a worst case scenario that we all have in our minds. That's like panic zone. But we're not going to know until Saturday morning,
or even till Nuno, tells us. The other Don, tells us. Do you feel like Skippy? Let's just say, we assume the worst, Nick. Right? What would be your midfield three, assuming the worst? Or it doesn't even need to be a midfield three. It could be a midfield two. It could be whatever you need. What would be your midfield in the upcoming Crystal Palace game, assuming the worst?
I would stick with the three. And I know it's the opinion is divided, as I can see in the comments. And, Bob Spur makes his opinions known, and we love him for that. But I'm going to say I want to see Tanguy. If there's he's still there. And we know he can unlock a defense. And we need, especially against Palace, we're going to need somebody who can have ball at feet and wiggle through tight situations. And we got Hill as well, and I would love to see him. But Tanguy is used to playing in the center, and he is a cam when he wants to be cam. That I want to see it. There's no, what better opportunity is there than right now to at least give him, even if it's not 60 minutes, just put him on the pitch and see what his attitude is, and if not, have a plan B and switch it up, and I think pretty much we all kind of want to see that,
Oh, I secretly want to see that. I love that. I mean, I absolutely love that. Any Tanguy for any kind of minutes is what I like to see, but yeah, go on, Nick.
So it's Højbjerg, Dele with Tanguy in front. That's the midfield I'd like to see. And who's available to play on the left with Kane and Lucas is what I guess it's going to be, is the question mark.
Do you feel like then in that midfield three that you're kind of speaking of, would it be, I guess it doesn't have to be too similar to what we've seen before, but would it be maybe Højbjerg more or less playing Skippy's role, maybe Dele playing Højbjerg's role? How do you see it?
That's what I see with Dele with a little bit of more license to go forward. It'll be a bit more creative, and Højbjerg be the CDM, which he's done to some acclaim.
He's plenty used to,
particularly last season. That's what he was doing pretty much by himself.
Yeah, I mean, I think even just seeing, a defensive Dele Alli next to him would probably even make his job a bit easier than even it was last season, you might say. Danny, what about your midfield? Is it similar to Nick's? Is it, like a midfield three, kind of stick with the same system, but maybe just different players and maybe a bit more creative, obviously, a bit more, let's say, enticing going forward? How do you feel about it? What do you think about the midfield?
I would probably keep the same formation.
Assuming the worst with the injuries, because of course maybe Skippy might be back, and then we're all, getting ahead of ourselves. But let's say assuming the worst.
I would keep the same formation if I'm honest. I'd just probably I'd probably put Tanguy in there instead of Skip. So I'd obviously play Højbjerg as the anchor between the two, and have Dele Alli as a left centre mid closer to him, right? So and then you'd have Tanguy a bit more. So it's kind of like a zigzag kind of a little bit, right?
Even if Skip is fit, you want to see.
Oh
Tanguy.
no. If Skip is fit, I'd probably want to play Skip, right? If it's just for me, I would prefer Ndombele than Dele Alli, but the only thing is Ndombele, we don't know what his fitness is like at the moment. We don't know what he's doing in training. We not properly anyway. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So whether or not we're going to find out on Saturday, and I don't think he will start. I think he might be on the bench. I think especially if Lo Celso's not going to be there, if Skip is injured, he's got to be on the bench. If he's not, then I'll be seriously worried for his future, to be honest with you. And I think it's going to take a lot for Nuno. So he'd have to show Nuno a lot to get back into that team, because if your team is more weakened, right, and you haven't got the options, you've got Ndombele sitting there who could give you at least 45 minutes at least, right? Then yeah, it'd be worrying if he wasn't in the squad, if I'm honest. But yeah, to be honest, I'd probably have if Skip was injured, I'd probably have Ndombele starting with Dele Alli and Højbjerg. That's the midfield three I'd go with. Just because then I'd let Dele Alli do the running, because Nuno said it. Dele Alli's a runner. Let him do the running with Højbjerg. He can do the like David said, right? David has said this. Dele Alli might not ever be the player that he's going to be again, but if you're a top player, you want to be in that team, you've got to learn to adapt, right? David has stressed this so much, right?
Good to hear someone's listening, Danny.
Well, mate, you know me, Dave, man, you know me, and look, right, Dele Alli, if he's told he needs to do this kind of role now, because that's what suits him, that's what suits the team right now, that's what suits Nuno, and that's what Nuno thinks is best for him to show his best version of himself right now, then that's what he needs to do, and he needs to be the running. And then let Tanguy play further up the field, right, and let him get in between the lines, get out of tight situations, be the creative spark, because that's what he's good at. Yes, he's going to have to do some running, right? He's going to have to, but you play Mora in that team as well, and Brian Kiel. I would go with Brian Kiel on the left, Mora on the right, Kane, and let Brian Kiel Mora do a lot of the chasing as well, right? Because they've got the legs, they can do it, yeah. And Tanguy will have to do some form of it, but he's got to be the one they got to give the ball to, and he's got to want the ball, and that's the thing. And we'll see, but that's what I'd do.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. And I think great points from both of you. And Dark Sun G here, given his input and what his midfield would be. And I think even including his sub bench as well, including his whole bench, he says Dele, Skip, Niall John, Højbjerg, Harvey White as like the available CDMs to choose from. I think what he's basically just explaining here, maybe, David will come in on this, is all the available options if we do take, just Mr. Easy Pass out of the team entirely. He's just saying this is what we have available. Lucas, Lo Celso, Tanguy, plus 2 academy players for the number cam position. Hill, Son, Stevie, maybe even Clark and McCondy, 4 wingers as well, and then Kane and Dane as the forwards. David, how do you feel about this? I mean, that's a lot of depth. Maybe it's all, very kind of dependent on the youths. Then again, I would say, at one point last season, especially, Nuno did need to rely on his youths. And as I always said, for a very long time, he does like to incorporate the youth squad into his teams, just because he doesn't feel like he needs to kind of maybe waste, the wages or whatever, kind of expenditures on certain players that are only there for a season. He likes to incorporate the youth into the squad. David, how do you feel about this? Dark Sun G, he's a very, revolutionary man. He's a modern man with this lineup. It's a very young lineup. It's a very, a lot of good young backups, prospects as well. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, look, the youth players are there. Look, you're going to have to give them a chance. They're going to fill the bench at some stage. They're going. The
only person that's missing is
with Devine,
just is the one that should not be named, Dave.
Yeah, look, and rightly so. Look, I see, like Goalkeeper was saying, look, maybe stop grating on Harry Winks. I'm just saying, I watched Crystal Palace this morning, and if he's playing in there, especially as that CDM, he's going to be eaten alive by Gallagher. And if he plays going forward a bit, he's going to be eaten alive by Chiate. Look, I was proven right in the Pacos de Ferreira game, and that's the only reason why I brought him up, is because I'm telling you now, if he plays in that Palace midfield, we've lost the game. It's that simple. 100%.
But
look, Dark Song G, man, I completely agree. Look, he wants to rule out, Mr. Easy Pass, and I think we should as well. I don't think he should still be at Tottenham. He's lasted longer than what Tom Carroll did at Tottenham, and I thought Tom Carroll gave more to Tottenham than what Harry Winks has done. So, yeah, look.
I'd love to see his career mode team, David. I'd love to see his career mode team, David, with this. He's just showing, all the available. He's just making Paratici, he's making Paratici, think about the team a bit in more of an old way. He has more faith than Nuno and the youngsters. I absolutely love that, Dark Sanji. He just knows that. He just knows, just give a new chance to the youngins, no matter the pressure. He's just saying, at this stage with Mr. Easy Pass, might as well just give it to, the person on the side of the road, a chance. It just feels like, David, he just has full confidence in the youngsters like Nuno does.
No, he does. Look, Jack, when we done that big dad thing on Nuno, look, I wasn't convinced it was for you to convince me, and you did. And look, one thing I found out, especially when I went and done a good bit of research into him, is he loves giving youngsters a go. And if he deems these youngsters are good enough, well, then I'm going to trust him. At the end of the day, he's my manager. I'm going to have to trust him until he kind of proves otherwise. And everyone knows I will always believe in a manager a lot longer than others. Especially back then with like say the squad that Mourinho had in that, because we know that a lot of them players have failed us. Now it's a bit different because, like I said, we've got 8 of them gone, so it's a bit different. There is a bit of a different turnaround. But big up Dark Song G, and we have another 2 super chats there, Jack. Take them, and then I'll answer the question, my man.
No problem. And Dark Sun G yet again saying no room for Easy Pass. We have better youths than him. No, he even explained his own super chat. Dark Sun G is that much of a legend. He explains his own super chat from before. You already laid it out plain and simple, Dark Sun G, by omitting Mr. Easy Pass. You already explained it plenty enough, but we do appreciate it. Dark Sun G, coming from me personally, I couldn't agree more. I really couldn't agree more with you. Already were showing, how many opportunities we could give to other players if we just left out Mr. Easy Pass entirely. If we just, it might be a bit harsh, considering we were actually this harsh to Danny Rose. I would say just give Mr. Easy Pass the Danny Rose treatment at this stage. Let him just play with the under 23s until he joins Watford. When I do even consider it, how harshly we treated Danny Rose, makes sense to only treat Mr. Easy Pass the same way. But do let me know, Dark Sun G, would you like to even see maybe even worse treatment, to Mr. Easy Pass than the Danny Rose treatment? But do let me know, Dark Sun G, and as well, as always, we really do appreciate you. And he says, if Doherty is bad at defending, so he isn't good at right back, should we try changing his position to right winger? Youths would fight for the badge. Listen, here's the thing, Dark Sun G. I think even recently for Ireland, he was playing as a right winger, and it did look quite. It's hard to know what position this guy. It's hard to know what position this guy is good at. Maybe apart from I don't know, maybe the cone. Yeah, I don't even know if he's good on the bench. I mean, there's probably better people. This is the thing I would say with Doherty. He looks better on the field because he puts on, we call him Mr. Hollywood. He looks good on the field. He puts on the good facial expressions for trying hard. It just feels like, Danny on the bench, it's kind of harder to, bring up those facial expressions, on the bench. You kind of have to be more of a looker. And I would say he doesn't have the Olivier Giroud, kind of look on the bench or anything like that. So to be honest, he doesn't have a lot going for him. I'm actually quite worried for Doherty. He doesn't look good on the bench. He doesn't look good on the field in any position at all. I'm really starting to wonder, what part of football he actually is interested in, or what part of football he's actually good at.
You know what? He's gone next summer. He's gone. He's going to be shipped out. 100%.
I've watched this guy for Ireland play a right wing. He actually played better at left wing back the other day against Portugal. He might do that. But trust me, right? In fairness to him, he actually did put in 3 good performances for Ireland over this international break. In fairness to him. But it's different putting it in a green jersey. And I wouldn't say they were exceptional. And then putting it in.
Yeah, no, they weren't.
Look, at the end of the day, he's had his chances. He hasn't performed. And just like Harry Winks, just want to say, go get it. I get where you're coming from. But at the end of the day, I don't think his performances are necessary and the bad performances he keeps putting in every week are warranted. But I have to sit through them every time he plays. So until he starts proving me wrong, then I'll start praising him, and that's the way I operate.
Yeah.
But Dark Song G, look, back to Doherty. Look, I think he's a lost cause. I think he's just a lost cause. I'll be honest with you, Dark Song G. Look,
can I comment on that?
Yeah, just quickly, because I want to answer this question because I didn't get to answer the last one.
Yeah, and Dark Sanji, just last words on Doherty. I saw him play a right wing. just wasn't spectacular in any way. I think David was even being a bit kind, which I was quite surprised. So Dark Sun G is always big yourself up, and as well, you're always right, Dark Sun G, absolutely always right. David, what's your midfield? I mean, what's your midfield for, you know, maybe this upcoming Crystal Palace match? You know, is it a midfield 2, midfield 3? Maybe what are you seeing this as? You know, maybe assuming the worst as well, considering I did make the rest of the panel, you know, maybe assume the worst with their answers. I'm going to have to make you do the same.
Look, I'll be honest with you. I had this thought earlier on, right? Now, I know it might leave us a bit exposed at the back in the centre-back position. But as far as I'm aware, Roden is fit. He met up with Wales, right? So you could play a back 2 of Roden and Manhandler, right? And you could move Dyer into midfield to do what Skip was doing. Now, whether he has the mobility to do it, not quite sure, but if you're looking for someone to put in the challenges the way Skip was doing, you could use Dyer to do that. But with the big man up front, we don't know whether it's going to be Benteke or Edouard. So I do think maybe you probably do need that bit of height back there. So he probably will stick with Dyer at centre-back, but it's an option. But look, he could change the system to even bring in a Tanguy and kind of suit his playing style. He can change it to a 4-2-3-1 and leave Tanguy up there in and around Kane, get him the ball, hopefully let him, you know, use his arse, bat a few people off him and make something happen. Or he could play 3 centre-backs, 2 wing-backs, you know, and put a midfield 3 in there with 2 up front. That could be very interesting because if he is playing the 2 wing-backs, it kind of, in a way, if you're playing Tanguy more or less where he can kind of go forward as well, there's cover at the back for him to allow him to be able to do his thing going forward. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Joes did not play that way against Sheffield United, and it was probably one of his best games for Tottenham, especially when he got that goal because he was allowed to get forward. Yeah. So I do think that's probably another option you could do for Sunday. I just don't know. Look,
he played 3 at the back that game, didn't he? It was like a
he played 3 at the back with 2 wing backs, and then played a midfield 3. Look, for me, ideally, I'll tell you, right, I'll be honest, I want Brian Hill to come in. I'll be completely honest with you. I would like to see Dele Alli, Højbjerg, and have Brian Hill playing in that free floating role in that cam position like he did against Pacos de Ferreira, and let's see what he has to offer, because when he's playing in that role, right, he's ideally playing in behind Kouyaté, who is Palace's deepest lying midfielder. So he has the license to roam left, right, drop into the pockets in the middle to be able to receive the pass, which gives us an out ball if we're trying to play out from the back. If you're playing it long to Harry Kane, then he's free to wander in behind. So I think it worked perfectly if you play Brian Hill there. And plus, let's be honest with you, I know it was only Pacos de Ferreira, right? But every time he got on the ball and put it into the box or made a pass, he found his man nearly every single time. And, like, you know, look, there's players that don't do that every single time against these teams. So, for me, I really would like to see this guy come in. I think if this guy comes in, I think he'll cause an awful lot of problems. I'm telling you, I get shades of Luka Modric out of this guy. You know, Luka Modric splashed in with a bit of Lionel Messi, splashed in with a bit of David Ginola. That's who I think this guy can be. I think he's very, very good. I'm going to hang my hat on this. I do think he's going to work out at Tottenham. I think by the end of the season, I think we'll all be sitting here praising him. I would love to see him come in. I would go with the 4-2-3-1 and play him in that free floating role.
I'd love to see Brian Hill in that flea for Danny.
All I was going to say was I think Hill's going to have the same effect Neto had last season. He's going to shock a lot of people. People because people don't know who Hill is right now, right? But then at the end of the season, people don't know
who Pedro Neto was.
Good. Yeah, exactly. And everyone knows who Pedro Neto is now. The kid is class. He's 20 years old. Hill's the same age, I think we could have like a Neto kind of impact this season. That's what I've been saying it from the beginning. I think that's what he's going to do, and because Neto only got 5 goals in the Premier League, I think it was. So even if you get 5 goals in your first season in Premier League for a 20-year-old is brilliant.
And we were all over him for those 5 goals as well. I mean, people, even me, I'm just getting goosebumps by the way you were describing. I would love to see that happen. If you were to, develop that quickly, that would be absolutely brilliant. But that's just me, maybe being a bit of an optimist, being a bit too positive there. But Dark Sun G saying, then Mr. Oscar and Mr. Easy Pass to under 23s use Divine instead, I think is what he's saying, David. Maybe I'm misreading this here.
Mr. Oscar is what I call Mr. Hollywood.
Mr. Doherty.
Doherty, Mr. Hollywood, because he's so good at putting on the faces when the camera comes to him, trying so hard, but then doesn't try at all. So, look, honestly, you know what I mean? When it pans to him, he always looks so focused on trying so hard. His face is like, lean and mean, and then then it pans to him when he's actually playing and he's making a mistake. So, that's why we call him, because he is an actor. And Dark Sun G has took it one further and got Mr. Oscar. Big up.
Oh, David, absolutely. And also, Dark Sun G is always, I swear, Dark Sun G, it's like you and David are cut from the same cloth. It's like you're thinking in the same mind sometimes with some of these. You're just reading each other so well, but big yourself up, Dark Sun G. Absolutely big yourself up. Loved your answers, by the way, everybody, for that midfield 3. Really, honestly, interesting. Lots of different ones. I would say maybe for mine, I'm going to quickly say, and it's not going to happen, so I'm just going to be different as always, kind of typical me, I must admit, but I'm going to go for maybe a back 3, back 5, and I think it's going to be something like maybe Højbjerg and Dele. I might be crazy in the midfield, and then maybe Brian Hill floating in front of them, and then maybe a bit of like a Son might be injured, so it might be a bit of a, Lucas Kane situation up top. Maybe just something similar that we saw at the Pacho State Ferreira game, where Hill was coming in the middle, floating everywhere, and then whoever is out on the other wing was doing their wing work, and then Harry Kane was just doing the Don work up top, and then you have Højbjerg and Dele kind of just holding down the midfield. I think it's plenty possible. I don't think it's too crazy to say that, but to be honest, that would be what I would go for. Probably not going to happen, though, so I am going to be a bit outside the box with that one. But moving on, guys, can Dele, maybe speaking of what I was just saying about, can Dele play next to Højbjerg in the way that Tanguy did last season for the upcoming Crystal Palace match? Maybe considering that, again, we are assuming the worst. Do you feel like, Tanguy's role from last season, it wasn't maybe the most defensive role. So maybe considering, Dele's defensive output from the season, can Dele play basically the same role that Tanguy did last season? Or is that maybe just kind of being a bit too simple and just saying, it's just going to be, like Jose's system from last season? Maybe Danny, do you feel like, Nick, I'm going to go to Nick first. We haven't heard. Sorry, Nick.
Well, why couldn't he? Why couldn't he actually be more effective? Obviously, Dele is a runner. So we've heard and we've seen him run. I mean, he's been running. I mean, why wouldn't he actually be more effective? And then from what we've seen of him so far, as long as he's dialing back the flips and the tricks and the trying to showboat too much and putting in the hard work, why wouldn't he be more effective there? And why wouldn't you try to use Tanguy in a role that is going to be less strenuous for him and allows him to bring out his inner creative side? I personally would like to see that.
So maybe so you're saying still again, the Højbjerg, Tanguy, Dele midfield. I mean, it does sound actually quite nice off the tongue. How do you feel about it?
It's a little less. It gives me a little less stress than the alternatives, like putting Winks in there.
I don't want to hear his name. Right,
Danny, do you feel like maybe what Nick is saying is true? Do you feel like it's actually capable? Like, is Dele Alli capable of playing a bit more defensive?
Marcelo says Son is fit. Does Marcelo have
maybe? We just have to rethink everybody. We're just assuming the worst. We're just assuming the worst with some of these questions. Considering it did feel like a lot of Spurs fans, and as they should be, were quite worried about the upcoming prospects for the game. Felt like Son was gone. It felt like everybody was gone. It might still be the case. Maybe all of them might still be gone. So that's why with a lot of these questions, we were kind of assuming the worst. But Marcelo, I know he speaks to Sonny on a daily basis. So if he's saying Sonny is fit, then we know he's fit.
Yeah, look, Marcelo's the Son guy. I'm the Kane guy. Anything Kane, you come to me. Anything Son, you go to Marcelo. And look, Marcelo says he's fit. I trust him. Good to see him.
I do.
Hope things are well. And let me know. I'm going to text you, actually. I want to get your thoughts on the whole Brazil saga, my man. So I may actually text you. Big up, Marcelo.
Absolutely. And Marcelo, thank you so much for the news as well. Like I said, like David said perfectly, there's no better information than to come from Marcelo, tier 1 source when it comes to Sonny. But Danny, I feel like, Nick is making a good case for the midfield 3 of, Tanguy, Dele, and Højbjerg. Do you feel like Dele, though, could maybe take Tanguy's role from last season, right? Maybe playing that more defensive, maybe minded, kind of role. Do you feel like Dele's capable of that?
I think he's capable to run more than Ndombele. That's a fact, right? That's just anyone can see that.
Do you have
Whether
stats?
or not I could probably get them, Dave, but it'll take a bit of time to get them. But I think just by the eye, I can see that he could run more than Ndombele can, right? But in terms of what he can do with the ball and how effective he is out of possession, it's hard to say because obviously he runs more. But when he's got the ball, is he more effective than Ndombele? At this moment, I haven't seen him be effective very much, to be honest with you. So I don't know. Like I feel Ndombele is more effective on the ball. It's just Ndombele's off the ball work is shit. So yeah, it depends. Like, look, football's a team game. If you've got two players in the team that are doing the defensive side of the game, that can allow him to do a little bit less of the pressing and that kind of stuff to let him do what he's actually good at, then 100% put him in that team because the guy has got fucking world-class talent. We all know what Ndombele's weakness is. He just needs to sort that shit out, which I don't think he will. But look, 67 minutes of Ndombele is better than 67 minutes of no Ndombele and Winks in the team. So for me, yeah, I think Dele, he can give a different kind of role. I just don't think when Dele's in the team, we're as creative as we could be.
Interesting. I will say, maybe just to add to that, with Dele Alli, I think Danny even said it, in simplistic terms, and maybe Danny, you could add a bit to this after I say this, but by you just saying, Dele is simply running more. Dele is simply more of a runner. He's more of a box to box in the likes of maybe playing against Crystal Palace. It doesn't seem that crazy that, Dele Alli would actually not be a bad box to box central kind of midfielder next to Højbjerg, and then maybe have someone like Tanguy Lardas just right in front of them. It just seems, it just actually weirdly works. It just weirdly works. What do you think?
I think it could. I really think it could work, right? But but you know what? Like with Dele, right? What's so frustrating, because we know Dele is another one, right? Where he's got so much talent. The guy, we've seen it like for a number of years, where he came into the Premier League and he lit the Premier League up with the assists, with the goals. The guy has got talent, right? It's just that for whatever reason, whether it's mental issues or it's fitness issues, the lack of desire, the lack of motivation, which we've said, the lack of drive, the lack of wanting to be the best within himself. Maybe he might show us something different this season, but we can't judge it on 3 games, right? So we don't know whether Dele's going to be a lot better than he has been over the last couple of years. So for all we know, he could go out and score 10 goals, 10 assists, and we've got a bit more of the Dele back. We've pretty much got Dele back. If he goes and gets 10 goals, 10 assists, he's basically replaced Eriksen, right? Essentially, that's kind of what he's done. So we could have that on our hands, but that's up to him, right? But what I've seen so far, I haven't seen anything that is going to show me that he's going to be as creative as he used to be. And that's what we're lacking in the midfield, because when you have Skip, Højbjerg, and Dele, there seems to be a lack of that spark. There's that special pass that no one's doing. They're making the more safer passes. They're trying a bit more long balls, and they're trying to penetrate as and when they can. But there's no one with that ingenious pass, right? That's doing that no one can see. There's no one doing that. That's what Eriksen used to do, right? He used to do the passes that no one could see, and that's what Ndombele can do. He can do the passes that no one can see, and that's what we need in that team. And I for me, if he's there and he's available to play and he's fit enough to play, I'll fucking put him on the team, because he would do things that other people can't do. And you just put players in the team that can do the work that he doesn't do, so that he can go and do what he wants to do.
Yeah, honestly, that's again another motivational speech that Tanguy just needs to hear. But Faz Radfire here is saying Nuno wins me 100% based on how he'll cope with the injuries. So Faz, all I would say is I think Nuno, he literally just came off of a season. I would argue, and this is a bit crazy, considering Liverpool had horrible injuries last season. I would argue that Wolves' injuries from last season were actually even worse than Liverpool's, simply because with Liverpool's, it all had to do with the central defensive midfielders, and it had to do with the defense. Whereas with Wolves' last season, it was practically everywhere you could imagine. They were missing their best left back the whole season. They were missing some of their best central defenders the whole season. They were missing Podence the whole season. They were missing Neto for practically the whole season at one point. They were missing Jimenez, obviously, the entire season. It just shows that, like, Nuno, if anything, Nuno is probably even looking at this injury situation right now and actually finding it quite easy, you might even say, considering what he had to deal with last season.
He's got a couple of extra players to deal with that problem this time.
Yeah, he even has maybe more players to deal with. Yeah, he's out of an even better squad. So Nuno might even actually be getting more, winks, or I can't believe I just said that. He might even be getting, more minutes of sleep than we are, in terms of this. Nuno might not even be that worried when you actually consider it, considering what he just went through last season. So Faz, all I will say, I think he's going to handle and cope with these injuries perfectly, just like you said. Yeah, Danny.
Can I just say one thing on Winks, right? Right, Winks, it's going to be a matter of time until Nuno sees what he is like, and he's going to force him out of the team, or he'll use him when he really has got no other option. That is when Winks will play. And the thing is, my argument for this, right, is that there are players that can train very well in training, right? You could have a player that will give you better than what the best players give you in training. But when it comes to performing on match day, they are dog shit, right? And it's a matter of time until Nuno sees this. Paratici knows it. The only reason he didn't go is because no one wanted to pay what we wanted to sell Winks for. That's why he didn't go. I guarantee you, Winks has another season where he's hardly playing in the Premier League. He's not going to be in the England squad again. If he is smart, he will leave it'll be better for his future to leave, right? If he's an idiot, which I think he is,
there's a chance he doesn't like football. There is a chance he doesn't like football.
There's a chance as well that I've been saying this. Winks knows his career is done once he leaves Spurs. It's only downhill. He's not going to play at a higher level than Spurs ever. He knows that. He's not stupid, right? But it's just we have the same situation with Winks all the time. Every manager, it takes them a certain amount of time to realize that he's not good enough, but they still play him because he shows it in training. He shows that he's good in training. He's a good trainer. So they think, okay, he's done well this week. Let's give him a chance. Then he does shit. And that's what happens.
I mean, Danny, just quickly, even I just heard of Duga Critchley, someone who I absolutely worship. He said it is actually kind to say to Winks that his career has stagnated. That's being kind.
100%. It's declined.
He's saying stagnating is being kind to it.
Yeah, it's
it's actually been in free fall is what he's meant.
Yeah, he has, because look, Winks, right? He had that season where we were in the Champions League, where we beat Real Madrid, right? Where we was one of our it was a great season that season, right? He was a pretty decent player for us, right? And obviously he had a very good game against Real Madrid. When he got the injury that season, he was never the same player again. Now, I never said he was a very good player. He was a good squad player, right? That's what Winks was. He was good to fill in, but he hasn't even got that level of professionalism right now. He doesn't do the fundamentals in football. And for me, he shouldn't be even on a bench. He should be even on matchday squads. Like, he needs to be gone. That's for me. Like, I want him done. I'm fed up with him, man. He shouldn't be a professional footballer, honestly.
Yeah, I will apologize. Go get it. It is a bit endless, the Wink slander, but that's just, what you're going to have to deal with over here at the Irish Hotspur, I must say. But, it's all in relation to this question. We're just simply finding now Dele might be a better option next to Højbjerg than the likes of Winksy. But absolutely, everybody. And Faz Radfar, I will say, I do appreciate that you kind of feel the same way about Wolves. But moving on to Dark Sun G, a super chat here. He says, both games are Palace at Rennes, for your information. Rest Sun for these games. Rest Sun, Skippy, and Stevie B if their injuries aren't too serious, and use them for big games like Chelsea and the Gooners. Interesting, I would say, especially when it comes to Palace. I think you can only just add, Kane into the squad. I think Kane, it's actually better pressure for Harry to maybe even show up, you might say, for a game like this against Palace. He's going to have to take maybe a bit more burden on his shoulders. I think he will only handle it perfectly. He is the Don, after all, up top. But as well, I would say against Rennes, I think you're about to bring it up. I think you bring it up later, Dark Sun G, but Rennes have definitely lost a lot of their best players as well. So I think it's actually up here. He says, sorry, Dark Sunday, I'll go to that one later. Sorry, apologize. He says, yeah, with Rennes, I would just say they are missing some of their best players in terms of transfers and everything. And then I wouldn't maybe play Stevie B. I wouldn't play Harry Kane. I wouldn't even play Sonny in some of these games, to be honest, especially in the Europa Conference League. I feel like we are plenty okay. David, how do you feel about this in terms of, the Palace and Rennes fixture? Is this just something that we shouldn't necessarily play our best players for?
Rennes fixture, I wouldn't put any of them in for. I wouldn't. Look, depending on Son's injury, look, he's been carrying this since the Wolves game. So for me, look, it depends on how Sonny's feeling. If you think you can get away with it against Palace, don't risk him. In fact, I would rather risk Stevie than Son, I'll be honest with you. Skip, again, look, if he's not ready for Palace, don't risk him, because I do believe we should have enough to beat Palace. I do believe we should be beating Palace. Look, Palace only drew against us last season because we were unfit and we gave away the goal near the end. At the end of the day, look, we should be beating Palace with what we have right now. And for me, what was he? I agree, Dark Sunji.
Yeah, and Dark Sunji again saying the great news for me is that Rennes don't have Camavinga in their squad anymore. So hopefully we can just use a mix of our first team, our second team, and maybe for both games, he's saying. Yeah, this is, I think, what David, I think, again, Dark Sunji, you and David are always on the same mind of things. You guys are always thinking the same way about things as well. But I would say with Camavinga going, it's practically their best player gone. The only one that's maybe left is Jeremy Doku. With Jeremy Doku, everybody, I would say, if you want to check out, my Europe's top young prospects, my Europe's, top young under 23s, he is my top 3 Ligue 1 players to look at. Jeremy Doku, the guy is absolutely rapid. We'll probably be seeing him represent Belgium in the 100-meter final next Olympics as well. But I would say Rennes, they've absolutely lost a lot of their best players. I mean, of course, Edouard Mendy even came from there, I believe, as their keeper. I think they have a new one there that isn't doing too bad, but it's just with Rennes, they're kind of constantly, losing their best players, I would say. And probably Doku, even the next season, probably might be gone. Might even be gone by January, you might even say, considering how much they're willing to sell over in Ligue 1. So I would say I am actually quite relieved to see the likes of Camavinga gone. And I don't even think they've spent it on anybody even.
Weren't we linked with Doku too for like a brief second?
A solid minute, maybe. A solid minute.
1,000 people. Yeah, but I'm actually hoping that we go in for him rather than the Adama.
Yeah, I would actually say it would also be more in line with the Paratici, actually.
Yeah, he fits the profile of what Paratici's been trying to do right now. So let me ask you guys. So you guys would start Hill in Scarlet against Rennes?
Would I start Scarlet against Rennes
instead of and rest Kane and Son?
I mean, personally, again, I have too much faith, maybe a bit too much optimism, a bit too much positivity, in this regard. I feel like Europa Conference League minutes are only meant for Dane Scarlett. If you ask me, It just seems like Dane Scarlett is meant for those kind of games. I don't really care about the opponent, especially in the beginning of the stages of it. Of course, maybe Rennes might be a bit too much for him, might be a bit too much of a big team for him. Personally, I just feel like these are only the right opportunities. You can't really, it's not like there's no such thing for me. And again, I could be wrong. There's no such thing as too much exposure at a certain stage. Like Wayne Rooney went through a lot as a young kid. It might as well just, bring a lot of these talented kids, through games like this, especially if they're being backed up by the likes of, who knows, a Lo Celso, a Tanguy, other players that, it's not like he's being abandoned like he did in the Pashos game, if you ask me. Yeah. So personally, I would just say, Nick, I would answer and just say Dane Scarlett, absolutely someone who I play in the Rennes game. How about everybody else?
I was going to say, oh, go on, Dave.
No, go on.
I was just going to say, like, with Dane Scarlett, right, the thing is, right, I want to see him get minutes. I really do, because I think it's the best thing for his progress and his progression and stuff like that. But he needs to play with players who are going to give him the ball.
Yeah.
Problem is, right, I saw it in the Pacos game and I've seen it in other games, right? He thrives off players who give him the ball in good positions, right? Yeah. He's not a Harry Kane yet who can make his own chances. I said this to Dave the other day.
He's not going to be dictating play or anything. Yet.
No, and the problem is we're lacking that creativity at the moment. So you need to play him with an Ndombele, someone who's going to feed him the ball, because you give him the ball, I'm sure he's going to put away chances. But the problem is when you play him, the risk there is if you don't play him with his creative players around him who are going to give him the ball, right, then he's going to start losing the confidence in himself.
He's running around aimlessly.
Yeah, because he's running around. He's doing the right things, right? But he could do that. I'm not saying he will. I'm just saying we don't know what his mentality is like yet because he's 17. We've got to remember that, right? So you do want to kind of. It all depends, like, because none of us know him personally. None of us know what we've heard what the players say about his talent, right? But talent gets you so far, right? It's about what's up here, which makes you a player, right? What can define you as like being a world-class player in the future, can define you being a player who can progress and become a proper player. But I feel that he needs to have the support around him. He needs to have, like, I would love it if someone like Eriksen was in our team right now playing with him. The way he would be giving him those balls, it would be like magic, right? But I think personally, I think he needs to play with like an Ndombele, with that Brian Hill, and he needs to play with like Lucas Moura, and even if Kane is rested, that for me would be enough. I think to kind of give him a bit more confidence that he's going to actually get some chances, because you don't want a player going into game where he doesn't get one chance for the whole game and then he comes off and then he's going to feel, oh shit, like I haven't done good enough. But it's not his fault. The player team has not given him the ball. Do you know what I mean? Like we've seen it before. We've seen it all the time at Spurs. Even last season, I can even say, I know he's not gonna like this, right? But the game against Chelsea, right, where Vinicius played, yeah, he had one chance the whole game because they never gave him the ball. And that's not his fault, right? He was making the runs. He was doing the things that he should have been doing, but no one was giving him the ball. And in that game, the whole team are a fucking disgrace. They should never, they all should be docked wages for that game because they didn't put any heart or effort into that game. Same against Arsenal when we lost 2-1 last season. Disgrace. So,
Nick,
yeah,
I mean, in terms of what Danny is saying here, do you feel like, and also, I would say, actually, no, I'm going to transition in this question, Nick. Ribsy85, absolute class comment here. And as well, he's a loyal member of the Flat Cap Army, loyal member of Flat Cap Eurotalk. He's saying that Rennes is actually a bit more of a team that we might be underestimating. And Ribsy,
oh yeah,
I might go against what I said earlier. Ribsy, I don't think you're wrong, actually. I don't think you're wrong. With Rennes last season, they were in the Champions League, considering they had a great season the season prior to the pandemic season. They did have a great season in Ligue 1. They were in the Champions League. They actually gave a couple of teams, including Chelsea, a fair game as well. They actually did look pretty decent in the Champions League groups. Nick, are we kind of underestimating, or maybe underestimating the likes of Rennes?
They're pretty much the hardest team in our group, other than us, right?
Yeah, I think they should be. Yeah,
without argument. Because I'm a little bit nervous about just putting Scarlett up there with younger players by himself because of what we saw at Pachos. I mean, that's it in a nutshell. I want to see him with a confident Steven Bergwijn, if we can find such a thing, and just more senior players there that are going to give him the service that he needs. Yeah. Not just. I really think that Pachos match was an experiment on Nuno's end, and
I mean, Nick, he played Harry Winks.
He did.
Harry Winks with Dane Scarlett. What does he expect Dane Scarlett to do with Harry Winks?
David, are we underestimating maybe the likes of Rennes? Maybe put on your Flat Cap Eurotalk, Flat Cap here. Do you maybe with Rennes, maybe this is actually a game where Dane Scarlett, might have to be backed up a bit more. Maybe it isn't even the right game for Dane. How do you feel like? Are we underestimating Rennes?
You won't play Dane.
Look, for me, when it comes to Rennes, they're probably better than any team we played in the Europa League throughout the whole last campaign last season.
Yep.
So that's a bit of a different game, in my opinion. For that one, you probably do put out maybe a Kane or a Son if you want to ensure you win that one, and then the other group games you should be winning with a Dane Scarlett up front, and you get out of the group comfortable. That's my opinion. For Rennes, just for Rennes alone, I'll probably look. It's either Kane or Son you put up top. But one thing I will say is don't discredit Dane Scarlett. This guy makes these runs, just like Michael Owen did when he burst onto the scene, and he has the pace. You put him in behind, it's very, very hard to catch him. Lucas demonstrated that in pre-season. You get the ball to Lucas. Lucas played Scarlett in behind, and when he's in them positions, he will finish. Look, if you can play Brian Hill in that game and have him playing in that cam role, he will find Dane Scarlett, and Dane Scarlett will score goals. Trust me. I fully believe it. I fully believe it. Look, Edwardson is saying a bit about Vinicius. Look, I done a lot of stats on Vinicius yesterday. Go and check it out on Paxton Road TV, my man. But look, for me, I would For the Rennes game, it is slightly different because, like I said, they are better than any team we faced in Europa League last season. So I think you probably would start with a Kane or a Son up top in that one. But for the rest of them, I would definitely be giving Dane Scarlett the minutes, 100%. Look, you might even see Dane Scarlett feature off the bench in the Palace game at the weekend. You don't know. He could come on one of the wings. He could come on, if we are hammering Palace, to give Harry Kane a bit of a rest near the end. You don't know. He could get minutes. But look, for me, I want this guy to get minutes. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter about your age. If you're good enough, you're old enough. It's a famous saying throughout football. If you're good enough, you're old enough. And for me, I do think this kid will be good enough. He's had a good preseason. Tottenham have clearly thought, right, well, we couldn't get Martinez. We couldn't get Vlahovic. We're not revisiting the Vinicius one. We've had a whole year to look at him. We don't want them. So we're going to give the minutes to Scarlett. And they clearly think he's good enough. Tanganga came out in the press before the season started and was speaking or waxing lyricals about Dane Scarlett. Waxing lyricals. This guy is going to make the next World, not the World Cup coming up, but the one after that. He's going to feature heavily for England. He says he's like a sponge in around dressing room. They're all protecting, and they all really think this kid is going to go far. Jose Mourinho last season, when Jose was giving him minutes, Jose said, this kid will be in and around the first team next season. So, look, there's a lot of people at Tottenham Hotspur or who have been at Tottenham Hotspur really believe in this guy and really see the talent and really think he's good enough. So, for me, let's see what he can do. Let's see what he can do. I think we should be giving him the minutes. I don't think, from what I've seen of him when he has played, bar the Pacos game, the first leg, but you can't really put that on him. He's a striker at the end of the day. People have to be creating chances for him. The whole team was bad against Pacos in the first leg. So I write that one off. The whole team was bad. It started from midfield and the defence not getting the ball up quick enough to feed these runs and stuff like that. So for me, look, I do think this guy will get you goals if you play him. It's as simple as that, I think.
Then David, I think you need to answer Darks on G's, super chat here. And Nick, I'd like you to go after, David here. He says Rennes is actually a good team for Dane because they are a good team that he needs experience with teams like these and not farmers, in his opinion. So maybe against what you were saying, not necessarily against what you were saying, David, but he seems to, like always, to be a bit more confident than you, David, and the likes of Dark Sun G. He seems to think that practically all these games are good experience for him, and he seems to think even the Rennes game might be better experience maybe for him in that regard.
I think it's all about who he's playing with, though. I know I said I think it was an experiment with the first Pachos match for Nuno. I don't think he wants to get bitten in the ass again like that. So, I mean, if we're going to bet in a youngster for that first match, I would like to see Hill with Son or Kane. And then if we're 2 up by the half, then bring in Scarlett. And then play Scarlett, for the next 2 matches, see how it goes. And just start slowly bringing them in. We have, as much as the injury problems are driving us crazy, I mean, we do have some depth going forward where we could start, changing players out, basically.
Interesting, yeah. I
think that's the way it's got to go. You got to be, I know, if you're good enough, you're young enough. If you're young enough, you're good enough, but I'm a little bit scared. I'm a little bit worried that, if he has a couple more bad matches, the confidence goes.
No,
you
look,
might be right.
I get it, though. Look, we're all a bit scared. But at some time, we have to give some of these youth players a chance. Look, Marcus Edwards left Tottenham because he wasn't given a chance. Now, at Tottenham, if he fitted into this team, he could have done well. Noni Madueke, who we're trying to buy back from PSV, actually left Tottenham because he believed he was good enough and they didn't give him the chance. For me, I think at some stage, like we don't get enough academy products into the senior team. And we have a great crop of youngsters now, and at some stage we are going to have to open up the pathway for them and give them a chance. And that's what I believe they've done with Dane Scarlett by not bringing in Vinicius, who would have just been a number. And like when you see someone like Dane Scarlett, who took it upon himself over the summer to go and beef himself up without having been told to do it, and learning that he will have to beef himself up, he will have to learn how to take the ball in. Look, his runs were always there. It's the very first thing I noticed when he played in the Europa League and came on last season was them very clever runs he's making. And he probably should have had a goal in the Europa League last season. But if you see a player, a young kid like that, who everyone believes in and around the club, and he seems to be doing the right thing to develop himself, and he already knows what he needs to be doing to be able to develop himself. I do think we have to give him a chance. Rennes game, look, it's a bit of a dodgy one. If you put the right players in midfield, you will get away with playing Dane Scarlett. Look, with Dane Scarlett, you will have to blood him in and out. But after this Rennes game, the rest of the group I'd play him. And look, you will see him feature off the bench for minutes in the Premier League. And let's see what he can do. But at some stage, we are going to have to open it up and give some of these academy products a chance. Look, it's better than watching Winks, Doherty, Ben Davies, and players of this ilk. When they play these games, we always in trouble. I'm going to keep saying this until it drives home with people. Colchester, Antwerp, Zagreb, first leg of Pacos de Ferreira. And that's just over the last few years that a lot of these guys have played in. Doherty didn't play the Colchester one as far as I'm aware. Maybe he did. But these are the players. No, he didn't. But these are the players that are we're starving for trophies at Tottenham. We keep saying, yeah, these players are backup players. They're good enough. And then they keep letting us down in the early stages of the Cup. Now, if that's going to keep happening, I would much rather give these youngsters the minutes because I can accept mistakes from these guys, not from these guys who are supposed to be trying to break into the first team. And look, that's why when I see a young lad doing everything right in Dane Scarlett, that's why I would give him a chance. Interesting.
For me personally, I feel like maybe if, like Nick was saying, if he's played, alongside the right players, maybe a better opponent, might actually be a bit more experience, even better experience, you might say, against him. Danny, quickly, any thoughts on that from Darkson G? Do you feel like, is it better that he plays against Rennes than against the Farmers if you had to pick between the two?
Yeah, I would, if I'm going to play Dane Scarlett, right, I like I said, I want him to play with, whether that's with Kane, whether that's not without Kane, he needs to play with senior players as well. You can't have Harry Winkses, you can't have all youngsters because it's not going to work. Because then also
doesn't give him confidence.
Yeah, exactly. And also you lose a bit of the momentum that we've got at the moment as well. If you completely change a team and put a whole team of youngsters in, it's not going to work. When you're playing these Rennes is not a bad team, right? They're a better team than Pacos, and we had to play well to beat Pacos, right? So you're going to expect to need to play better to beat Rennes, right? Because they've got some talented players, right? Especially Doku, right? Doku is going to be a threat. The last time I saw a player in the Europa League when they tore us to shreds, right? Which was years ago, and it was Mohamed Salah when he was at Basel, right? Yeah. He tore us a new arsehole. And I said, this player is going to be a player, right? I want this player. Then he went to Chelsea, and we knew what happened from there, right? If Doku has that kind of game, this guy is going to go to he's going to go to one of the biggest teams, I'm telling you. But for me, I want to snap up Doku. He's the one you've got to watch out because we know what Tottenham are like when we come up against players who are tricky wingers, who are fast.
No Doku, apparently. No Doku. So apparently no word.
Doku's out. Is out.
Okay, no Doku, no word. No Doku, no worry. No Doku, no worry. We're going to move on. We're going to move on to the next question then. And I want to get to David here because I feel like David, I apologize, David. I feel like, we've only gotten, so much from you, tonight. So I want to, get your opinion on this. Has to do with Tanguy, which has been mentioned a lot tonight, Tanguy, in terms of maybe the potential midfield that we might be selecting, in terms of maybe, even being featured on the bench for the upcoming games or so. I think even Danny said to us at one point today, he's in that Europa Conference League squad at least. We just know that, Tanguy's getting kind of back into the shape of things with the squad. Do you feel like Tanguy just needs to get back into the squad to save his own career, David? I mean, let alone, be, earning the respect of Tottenham fans. He just needs to get back into the squad to save his own career. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, look, I'll be honest with you. I think
as Bayern, I guess the question is, do you feel like Bayern Munich aren't going to be calling if he's not going to be featuring this upcoming, few months?
Yeah, look, do you know what? I liken it a bit to Balotelli. All the ability in the world.
Yeah.
Right? But just something wrong up here. Just something wrong up here. Yeah. And the thing is with a player like Ndombele, I think he will always get moves, right?
Yeah.
I think he will always get the moves.
Yeah.
But I agree with you, Jack. This is absolutely crucial for this guy now. I actually think this is a pivotal point in his career because if he doesn't get back into this Tottenham team, he may get a move to another team.
Yeah.
But I can tell you now, it's not going to work out there. Yeah. And for me, I see this guy going down the same route as Ravel Morrison, Adel Tarat, Balotelli, where they've reached a height so young, and then they've lost it up here, and they just become journeymen. and it's always a what-if story with these guys. Look, you look at Ravel Morrison. He dominated Tottenham for West Ham. Yep. Went off the scene. Massive. Everyone spoke about Man United. Went off the scene, ended up being a journeyman. He done an interview recently with Rio Ferdinand, just said, look, you just didn't have it up here. You know, the mentality. I was doing things wrong off the pitch, and it was resulting into performance on the pitch.
He wasn't training properly as well.
Yeah. And then, like, you look at Adel Taarabt, the guy, you know, Harry Redknapp's the only guy that can manage these sort of players, because Harry Redknapp will give these guys the sort of time to do what they need. Look, Adel Taarabt just used to fly out of the country when he wanted, come back when he wanted, and expected to play. Look, he had a great time at QPR, but after that, where has he gone on to since? He's been at some big clubs. These clubs will always take it. Look, there's always these players that these big clubs, you always look at them and say, I can be the one to turn them. I can be the one to get the very best out of them. And sometimes you just can't. Sometimes you just have to admit their problems. And I think, look, if Ndombele doesn't get into the squad, into this Tottenham squad this season, he will get the next move. But I think his career will go down the pan. Because once you start seeing the money coming in less and less and less as well, that affects them up there then as well. And then they're just all over the place. So I think it's very important he gets back into Nuno's team. If he doesn't, I think he's done.
Interesting. I do find that actually interesting. Me personally, I would say, even if he, wants to move on to the likes of a PSG, a Bayern, whatever, a Real, whatever it may be, he's going to need to feature in the Spurs squad. I don't think they're going to be taking chances on him, with no appearances, this season. Nick, how do you feel about with the Tanguy situation? With the Tanguy situation, is it like, again, of course we want him to earn the respect from us, but do you feel like it's a bit of an existential crisis for his own career?
I mean, I'm with David on it, man. I think the Balotelli comparison is dead on.
It's fair.
Fair. Because if he doesn't start turning up right now, nobody is going to pay the money that.
Well, forget about him even.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're going to have to take a serious loss on it. I mean, nobody's. If you can't do it at Tottenham, when they're giving you. I mean, what's it going to be going on 3 years now? To actually show up. And you've clearly got, whether it's mental, physical, some kind of issues, just it isn't anybody in the upper tiers that's going to give you the chance again.
Mm. Yeah, it's a bit more cutthroat up there, don't you think, Nick? A bit higher than Tottenham, even with the Tottenham. Do you feel like, does he have an excuse? If he can't do it at Tottenham, it means he can't do it anywhere else. Is that how you feel about it, Nick?
You know what? I mean, we've all been trying to figure out Tanguy for a while now, and I think that there are some things in there. I've had some thoughts over the last couple of months on it too, and I think that especially as Spurs fans, but in general, we hold players to a standard that I think is unrealistic, because we just cannot have 10 Harry Kanes on the pitch and a Hugo Lloris on there. We can't hold everybody up to Kane's standard as far as their work ethic goes, how they feel about the club, what effort they put in every day. However, you hate it when you see somebody put in a transfer request.
Yeah.
He, in his defense, he's gone through these 4 managers with different styles in different situations and different levels of crisis going on within the club and within the world. And I can see how you get your head turned and your head screwed on. On top of that, he's got these other 2 knuckleheads here in his ear, who are obviously toxic at the club. Yeah. And I really think that that's where we determine how well this transfer window actually went, is when we look down and see what if Tanguy's pulled his finger out, because the genius move may have been getting rid of Sissoko and Aurier and seeing if they can actually, because that's where cutting the loss on Aurier may be saving us millions upon millions if they can get a tune out of Tanguy. Yeah. So I give him I'm on his side in a lot of ways, and I want to give him another year and see if he can turn it around. But it's got to be, because if he doesn't, he's not going he's not on an elevator. He's on.
All I'll say to Tanguy, I think you're spot on, Nick. And all I'll say to Tanguy is, I painted houses, with my best friends, and all I'll say is, some of the jobs that I had that weren't alongside my friends, we finished it, days in advance. And the times I was doing it with my friends, we were always over budget. We were always, too late to finish it and everything. I'll just tell you, when you're working alongside your friends, I'll say it just doesn't, go the way you want it to. It doesn't go the way you think it would. So maybe we might get the best out of Tanguy, like Nick is saying, if we take away his buddies, if we take away, his friends. Dark Sun G, though, saying Tanguy, Emerson, Hill, and Scarlett. Youths like White, Divine, John McCondy, and Clark. Sess if fit for left back for all away games. To save fatigue for our first team. He's still David. I mean, again, I don't know anybody that doesn't deserve a spot in Nuno's ear more than this guy, Dave. There's not a guy who needs to be whispering right next to Nuno in his ear, telling him, what to say for the press conferences, telling him, even I know Nuno handles, the journalists quite well. I mean, he gives them nothing. He gives them less than nothing. He gives them less than nothing, but it might even just, even add, a bit more, salt to the wounds for the journalists. Just have Dark Sun G even be right next to him as well, just to make it even more torturous for them, because it just seems like Nuno and Dark Sun G is just the intellectual it's honestly, it's like Einstein. I don't even know. It's just two Einsteins together, David. It's just two Einsteins together. It's like, I don't even know, David. It's the smartest Tottenham men we know, alongside each other. I would love to see Dark Sun G in the dugout alongside Nuno, helping him out.
What's them two guys from, what is it, Austin Powers or something, Mini-Me and that other guy? That's who Dark Sun G and Nuno can be. Yeah, that's who Dark Sun G and Nuno are. Look, Dark Sun G, he's an absolute, he's a very intelligent guy. He clearly loves the channel, and he just keeps dropping in, these banger of super chats with great comments. Look, this guy is loving the youth. He's seen it all before, just like all of us. He doesn't mention Mr. Hollywood, Mr. Stinks, anything like that. He just wants the youth in. He doesn't want to be hurt by these guys anymore. And I feel the same way, Dark Sun.
He likes the academy, David. He likes the academy. Like Nuno, even. That's what I said. He just needs to be in Nuno's ear. Because the moment that Nuno is even considering Winks, the moment that Nuno is even considering Winks, Dark Sun G will be in his ear telling him, no, Nuno, no need for Mr. Easy Pass for this game. No need for it. We have Harvey White. He's been doing great in training, etc. Honestly, Dark Sun G, this club needs you, Dark Sun G. This club needs you. Absolutely needs you.
Just let me know. Do you watch all the under-23 games? Because I was
just going to say that. I was going to say he's got to watch some of the under-23 games to really Yeah, he's got to, man. He's got to.
Big up, Dark Sun G.
Last question before we move on to extra time, everybody, and Jack, it is again. Sorry, Danny. What's up?
To that Ndombele.
Sure.
I didn't get my chance, but look. David, when I was listening to David, right, he completely hit the nail on the head with about Ndombele, and then when Nick had his point, right, he just elevated that as well to another level, right? So it's hard to add to that, but like literally, it's impossible to add to that because they're completely bang on the money. Like you couldn't have got it more spot on if you even tried. The only thing I'm going to add about Ndombele is I think David's right. I think he's the type of player that people will look at regardless of how bad he's doing because they see the talent, right? You go on YouTube, you type in Ndombele, and the guy looks like Zidane. He looks like prime Zidane. He looks like this unreal baller, right? And I guarantee you, people probably even do that. Like people actually, like scouts will probably have a look at things like that as well, not just watching him and stuff. They do everything. They'll look at everything, right? And he's the type of player that clubs will take a punt on because they'll be the ones, like David said, they'll be, I'm the one who's going to turn this round. I'm the one who's going to turn this round. But my thing is, and I think what David and Nick said, right? This is the season for Ndombele, right? Aurier is now gone. His sister and his father have now left the club, right? So he hasn't got anyone holding his hands, right? He's got to take his dummy out. And he's got to grow up.
He's got to drive himself to the burger shops.
He's got to drive himself to the burger shops. He's got to be a man, right? And he's got to play football, right? And play the right way. If he doesn't do that and doesn't get back into the team to fight for the French national team, for the World Cup coming up around the corner, he doesn't do that. He doesn't want to fight to join, to get into the Tottenham team. Then that tells you everything you need to know about this man. And that is how his career is going to go. Like David said, he's going to be the journeyman. He's going to be doing that everywhere he goes. He'll go to PSG or he'll go to Bayern Munich. He's going to sit on the bench most of the time because they're going to suss him out in training. He's going to do the bits that he does. He's not going to last 60, 70 minutes, 80 minutes, whatever it is they want him to last. And he's going to be inconsistent. He's going to stop running for the team because the only thing I can see is if he does play in a team of like your Kimmiches and players like that, they're going to do everything for him. And he's gonna just do what he does. So maybe he could work out. But for me, I think there's a possibility. I don't think. See, I don't think he's gonna make it in England or at Tottenham. I think he'll go next summer.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's going to do what we want him to do this season. I think he's going to be the same again last season. I think it's going to be exactly the same effort, 67-minute man. If he gets back into the team, that is, which I think he will, because you can't have him sitting on the bench. And yeah, I think one of the big teams is going to come up with a deal, like a swap deal with money or something like that, where it's going to benefit us. Because Tottenham will only do it if it benefits us, right? They're not going to do it just for the sake of it. So in the end, I think it could be a win-win if he does go, because if he does go, it means that he's not put the effort in that we desire and we need him to at Spurs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and like, yeah, and I know I've said it again, but he will be a journeyman, because if you can't get into a Tottenham team that's fighting for Europa League spots, right? Not even like, do you know what I mean? Like, then it's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. So
there really is no excuse. No, there certainly is no
excuse. Like Nick said, this will be the 3rd year now. You can't have 3 years where you're still. There's not even a sign of improvement. I'll be fair to him. From the first season to and last season, there was a big improvement. Let's be honest, right? Let's be real. Yeah. There was a huge improvement from what there was.
Yeah, but that's because he couldn't even get on the pitch.
Yeah, no, but I know, yeah. But
it was because of the private jogs with Jose, actually.
Yeah, but look, I know, yeah. The thing is, yeah, I agree, right? He did lose a bit of weight as well, but it was more effective for us, right? So let's see what he does this season. If he's the same, then yeah, he's got to go, man. And like, yeah. he's not gonna make anything of his career. He'll just make money. Yeah. That's it. He'll make money and never win things.
Last question, everybody. Last question. It's basically, it's almost like an extra time question. I will admit, I don't really need, too much from you guys on this. It's just what I'd be curious about, because a lot of us are saying, how do we replace Bale's goals? How do we replace, et cetera, people's goals? And there are a lot of different ways to go about it, right? There are a lot of different ways to go about it. Maybe Lucas pops up with 4. Maybe Bergwijn pops up with 4. Maybe Dele pops up with 4, and you kind of replace a lot of it. But what do we feel like is the bare minimum of goals and assists for Steven Bergwijn after a full season? He seems like he's going to be one that's going to be starting a lot this season. Seems like Nuno's putting a lot of trust in this guy. He's kind of practically battling with Lucas for that starting 3rd spot, alongside Sonny and Kane. David, what do you feel like is the bare minimum for goals or assists when it comes to Steven Bergwijn?
Look, I'd like to see 12, to be honest with you. And what I mean by 12 is like mix it up between goals and assists. I don't care, but I want him to be involved.
Is that the Premier League, David? Is this all competitions? How do you feel about it?
Even all competitions. I take that's not bad for a winger. Look, obviously I'd like more, but from where Stevie B is at now, look, I think if he could get 12 in goal involvements, whether it's goals and assists, I'd be very happy with that. And I'll be honest with you, that's what I expect. Look, I know Lucas probably doesn't even hit that heights either. I'll be honest with you, don't bother clipping me or whatever, because I haven't gone into looking the stats, but I will, and I'll come back with a better answer on it. But look, for me, I do think 12 goal involvements, I'll be very happy with as a return from.
Well, this is the thing. He's competing with Lucas, right, for that starting spot anyways. So it's like whichever one Nuno has faith in to get, this higher mark of goals and assists is whoever Nuno thinks is going to get it. I mean, regardless, it's whoever, takes advantage of it. Nick, I mean, is there a bare minimum for you when it comes to Steven Bergwijn's output?
I mean, I got a lot of patience for him, because it looks like, the confidence issues aside, it looks like he's really trying, and he has definitely improved. Playing for the Netherlands over the last 2 weeks, he looked great. He looked really good. He's still not getting any goals, but he's putting in the work.
He's putting in the short socks too. He's got the short socks. He's improving.
Right.
You know what, Nick? For me, it's the confidence I've seen in him. He's just running at players, and that's all I've wanted to see at him, because that's what he used to do when he was at PSV. He used to run at players like Brian Hill runs at players, and I'm seeing it more and more. And you've seen it for the Netherlands. You've seen it for the last couple of games. He's becoming a lot more confident in himself, and
it's what we didn't see last season.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, go on.
And we're now seeing it this season.
Yeah,
literally, that's the Mourinho factor. Does anybody know what his stats are right now this year as far as assists go?
He might have one. He might, maybe that Sonny. I'm thinking that Sonny goal he might have gotten assist for. And I even, Nick, maybe follow-up question here. If he had gotten assist, let's say, for that Sonny goal, considering maybe Sonny did the majority of the effort there, you might argue, do you feel like that is only further proof or whatever further maybe kick up the rear, right? You might say, for Stevie Bergwijn to maybe show up a bit more with the goals and the assists. If that counts as an assist, I mean, it just shows he needs to show up with more.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit tired of the, he just needs one goal and it's all going to start coming in. I think we've all said that ad nauseum.
We say that about everybody.
Yeah.
We do say that about everybody.
And frankly, I mean, I would be happy if it were still under 10-10 for the entire season, but he's still putting in the work. He's still beating players and moving the ball forward and getting it into good spaces. I would be fine with that. I would think that we need to replace him or augment the system a little bit better with somebody who can produce more next season, and really, start questioning his position in the team without the goals. But I wouldn't be incredibly disappointed in that this year. So I'm going to call 10-10.
Just another quick follow-up question. Do you think that, if Gil does come in this season and ends up outperforming him in the output towards goals and assists,
that'd be crazy.
Do you think then maybe Bergwijn is just falling down the pecking order even more? Do you think we still have to keep persistent even though he is improving but not producing the end product?
I think that's got to be a huge worry.
That'd be damning.
A huge worry for him. But there's a couple little other questions in there, such as what happens with the Ndombele and where is Hill's best position.
Yeah, that's true.
David, I'm pretty sure you gave, your bare minimum. It seemed like, Dave, just to confirm for everybody again, can you give me your kind of, what was it in all competitions? I think it was 12, right?
Yeah, 12. So whether it be 8 goals, 4 assists, or 8 assists, 4 goals.
Combination.
Something like that. I just want to see
all competitions, Nick. What about for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be a little bit more kind and go 10-10 all comps. As long as he keeps putting in the work that he's doing.
And Danny, I haven't asked you on it. Do you feel like we need to be seeing more from, Stevie? Are we being too hard on Stevie? Maybe, Danny? Maybe that's the only alternative I could ask you. Are we being a bit hard on Stevie here?
Yeah, look. But my thing with Stevie, I've always wanted to give him a chance because I like what I've seen in glimpses, right? You have to put things into perspective, right? He came in half a season, didn't have a preseason, right? He was injured a fair amount. Right, in his first season, it was half a season. He hardly played. Right,
Danny, just quickly, I know you're saying he's not having a preseason, but he was playing half of a season with PSV.
Yeah, all right. It's a different level of football, David. Right, Premier League is very different. You know that, right? Like it took Son years to really get into the motion of the Premier League. Right, Modric as well. It took him a year and a half to get to fully into the grips of the Premier League, animal that it is. Like Bergwijn last season, right? Every player at Tottenham had fitness issues last season. They were shocking. It's a disgrace. And that's because Jose Mourinho didn't want to focus on fitness training, whereas Nuno is focusing on fitness training because that's a key element to the way he needs to play, right? So this season is, again, it's a make or break for Bergwijn, I think, because he has to start producing something. Otherwise, if he has another season where he's had 2.5 seasons now where he hasn't done enough to show us that he deserves to be at Spurs, then he needs to go, right? That's my opinion. And I think...
Do you think even, quickly, Danny, do you feel like he's shown... I guess he could fall into the Tanguy category, but do you feel
100%.
like Tanguy's weirdly shown more talent than even Steven has, which is why we're probably even so kind to Tanguy?
He had more goals last season, right?
And he had more goals and more assists.
Yeah. He got like 3 or 4, got 4 or 5 goals in the whole season. So, all right, okay, we know it's new. He needs more. He's a 60, 50 million pound player, right? And we know what his problem is. But besides that, Bergwijn this season, he's looked a different player, right? And I don't care what anyone says. Yeah, he might not be scoring yet or whatever, but look, he needs a run of games. Jose Mourinho took him out of the team and he had literally annihilated him from the team. As soon as that Liverpool game happened, it took the confidence right out the boy, right? Yeah. And it completely fucked him up last season, like he did to quite a few players last season. Right? So Nuno has come in, he's instilled this belief in them. He said to them, he's coaching them, right? Which is the key thing here. He's coaching them and he's giving them the confidence to go out and play the football, right? And that's what he's doing. And he's starting to show the Steven Bergwijn that I've watched when I watched the Eredivisie
coming through, maybe.
Yeah, and the thing is, like I watched Eredivisie, right? And I've seen he has got ability. This kid has got talent, right? He just needs a confidence. That's all it is with him. It's nothing else.
Just needs a few Dutch defenders in front of him, or maybe just needs to imagine everybody as a Dutch defender.
It's not even that, man. It's not even that. He's got his fitness levels up, right? He's working hard for the team, not just offensively. He's working defensively as well, right? So now you're seeing Bergwijn run at defenders. He's taking on players. He's doing everything that he can do, right? Let's see how it goes. And I'm completely with Nick. I think 10 goals, 10 assists in all comps, and I think that's a massive improvement to what we've seen.
It is
and
huge.
I think that in itself deserves a spot in the first team, like just by that, because it shows that he's doing the right things. Simple as that.
Yeah, 12 for David. 10 for Nick, and then 10 for Danny here. I don't think that's too much to ask. In case you're listening, Stevie, in case you're listening, maybe not too much to ask of you. But Stark Sun G here is saying, Stevie, for me, would be 7 goals, 5 assists, or vice versa for the Premier League. Yeah. And that's just the Premier League alone for him. And again, I would say that's not necessarily too much to ask. It really isn't necessarily too much to ask with some of these players. I would say, considering it just has to do with the amount of minutes they're given. If he, let's say he has more than 1,700 minutes by the end of the season in the Premier League alone, absolutely he should maybe come up with something like that. If he has less than 1,500 minutes, I would probably say that might be a bit harsh towards him, but it really only depends on minutes as well, because by the end of the day, we do have to just look at minutes. And like, there are certain players, if you look at last season with how many minutes they played, it is quite shocking, how little they came up with. So I would agree with you, Dark Sun G. And also, Dark Sun G, I do like, you're having a higher expectation. Maybe we are as well, Dark Sun G. He says, for all competitions, 12 goals, 13 assists, or vice versa after all competitions. He's almost like David, even a bit harder. He's a bit harder, as well. Dark Sun G again. Honestly, if I could pay out of my own bank account just to have you be sitting next to Nuno, I would, Dark Sun G. Just to have you in Nuno's dugout, I would put you right there, Dark Sun G.
Can I just add one thing, right? Not to Dark Sun G's comment, it's just in general with Bergwijn. Like, you can't expect him to go and score, like, I don't know, 12 goals, 12 assists or something like that when he's had 1 goal last season. And how many assists did he have? What, maybe 3 or something like that?
I get what you're saying, Danny, but like, these are levels we should be expecting from our wingers if we want to get to where we want to go to.
No, I agree with that.
It's not him that he only had 1 goal last season. Nobody else.
No, I know. I agree with that. I'm just saying, but if you compare him to who we had last season on the wings, Bale's an exception because Bale's just world class anyway, right? But we know about Bale. But like for Lamela example, he didn't really have the greatest number of assists or goals last season again. So it's like,
but he contributed a lot more than Bergwijn last season.
He did contribute a lot more. He did, yeah. But that's because of detriment to Jose Mourinho just completely abolishing him from the team after that Liverpool game. He obliterated the guy's confidence, man. He basically said, "You're shit. You're not playing."
From it. This is the thing. He missed a massive chance against City to put the game beyond, put us 2-0. He missed the square ball to Dele Alli that right across the 6-yard box. That honestly, I've seen under 7s past that.
Yeah, no. You're talking about last season or this season?
This season already. Already.
Yeah,
and this is the thing. Like, when is he going to learn from these lessons? Because at the end of the day, if he wants to be able to stay in a Tottenham shirt, right, he has to be getting them goals in these games that are going to be.
I agree. But I think, like, what I'm saying is the difference between the seasons before or the season and a half before, that he didn't get the minutes that he needed really to kind of influence the team. And also, again, the fitness thing, it's a massive issue. Look,
the fitness thing, I'll agree with you on, but the minutes, I'm sorry, Danny, look, for me, it's up to him to warrant the minutes. We don't just hand out minutes for the sake of handing out minutes.
But look how many players, look how many players last season, right? Jose Mourinho obliterated the confidence. Now, I can also argue my own argument, right? The fact that these players should be men enough, and they shouldn't need holding hands. They shouldn't need to find this confidence or this belief from a manager. They should find that within themselves, because they should want to be as best as they can, right, on the pitch. Didn't
Lucas though maybe take that spot from him? That was kind of the thing.
Yeah,
maybe Lucas proved to be more of that man.
Lucas is one of these players who doesn't need someone to hold his hand and say, "Oh, well done, mate. You're a good boy. Well done." Like, do you know what I mean? He just went out there and took it for himself, and that's what these players need to do. But I'm just saying that Bergwijn, now he's got his fitness up, he's got no excuses, right? Because Nuno will give him the minutes. He's got no choice, right? he's got to use what we've got, because he's going to have to rotate them. So Bergwijn is going to get minutes. There's no Bale this season. There's Brian Hill, and there's Moira, and there's Bergwijn, right? So they're going to get minutes. So end of the season, if he hasn't done, for me, minimum of 10 goals, 10 assists in all competitions, I would say even 8 and 8, then that's not an improvement and he needs to go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And everyone, we are now moving on to extra time. With extra time, it is for much shorter answers, just kind of quick 1-2, I would say. And so everybody, as you may well know, for the extra time, please give me your answers in the chat. As always, do appreciate your answers. For the first one, and I will answer it first, if you had to rate the transfer window from 1 to 10, would your rating be above a 5? Yes or no? For me, it would be a yes, absolutely above a 5. In fact, Dark Sun G has even pushed my 6.5 rating to a 7, even though it feels uncomfortable to push it to a 7. He's pushed me to a 7 alone, so I'm going to give a big fat yes to that one. David, how about you?
I'll be honest with you, Jack. I've been saying 6, 6, 6, 6. But one thing, I sat down last night, I took it all in, I was really analysing it over in my head again. I'm going to give it a 7. I'm raising it to a 7, just like you, purely because keeping Harry Kane is a huge factor. It's a huge, huge factor. So for me, I think that bumps it from a 6 to a 7.
Interesting. Danny, for you?
So
is it above a 5? Is your transfer window above a 5?
It's above a 5. I would say my initial thing was a 6, and I know that's what David's was. I'm going to bump it up to a 6.5, just because
where I was previously. I like it.
Yeah, just because I think when looking at it, a big thing is getting the Deadwood out, and he got 8 players out in total. That's a lot of players to get out, including the players that were on the fringes who were getting paid by the club, like your Gazanigas.
A lot of signing offs, lots of signatures.
£39 million to be precise, right? So it's a good job in that respect. So I'll say 6.5 because it's a good start.
Nick, is your transfer window rating above a 5?
Definitely above a 5, man. Definitely.
And where does it lie? Because I know the Harris Army hasn't maybe heard it from you.
Yeah, and I'm teetering more on the 6.57. I'm going to go 7, and it's because I think we were all real worried that we were going to have exactly the same defense that we ended last season with, and we all wanted Aurier. We all wanted to change there, and he brought in a really good. We're buying right back from Barcelona. That by itself is fantastic. Getting Sissoko off the books, getting the other Deadwood off the books, there's a hell of a lot to be said for that, man. And then, if a
easier said than done.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly. That is an achievement that should be lauded, definitely. And then also convincing Daniel Levy to not take any money for Aurier. Come on. That's got to be at least 0.5 right there. That's a half a point right there. Just convincing them that this has got to happen. If you want to try to do something with this squad, just get rid of him. Let him go. So
all I would say to the Levy lovers, or to Levy haters, actually, is Levy sacrificed a few less back rubs in the Bahamas, just to see Aurier go. Yeah, continue, Nick.
I'm going to go with a 7, which could even go higher in retrospect. Depending when we come to January, it may be the master stroke that we were all hoping for.
This one, might seem a bit of a crazy question, and so maybe I do apologize, Harris Army. I know you might be a bit above this kind of question, so again, maybe don't take it too seriously here. But with Carlos Vinicius, one that's been brought up a lot in terms of a number 9 that maybe we should have gone after as maybe the backup to Kane. Apparently, the only way we would have gotten him would have been on loan, and I don't even know if that was possible again, or we would have had to have signed him after that previous loan spell for 36 million euros, I believe. Who would you rather have for 36 million euros? Would it be Carlos Vinicius, or would it be Burnley's, I would say, Imperial Chris Wood? I love Chris Wood. I'm a big Chris Wood fan. But personally, if I were to sign anyone for 36 million euros, for me, it would be Chris Wood. What about you, David?
Yeah, look, everyone knows how much in debt I went on to this. Danny knows yesterday. So for me, when I go really into that and really look at the stats, and he's got the 10 goals and where did they really come from? He scored 1 against Aston Villa, which was a tap-in. The rest were in the Europa League against, crap teams. So for me, look, Chris Wood is actually a proven goal scorer. Is he quality? No. But he's better than Carlos Vinicius. He gets goals in the Premier League. He holds up the ball. and he's a different type of striker. So for me, I'm going to say it's definitely Chris Wood all day long.
I'm pretty sure they would take that 36 million all day long. Whereas Benfica, apparently, Benfica, that was what they were barely asking for, apparently, despite them not even including them as their real striker. A bit odd, I would say. But Danny, 36 million you have to spend on a backup striker. Your only choices are Chris Wood or Carlos Vinicius. That's all Spurs, could come up with. Which one are you taking? It's a bit crazy question, I know.
I'd give it to charity, mate. I wouldn't spend it on any of it. Give it to charity.
Give it to Dane. Give it to Dane for his training methods.
Just give it to charity, mate. I'd give it to, or spend a bit of money to get Dane, just get him a personal trainer, get him to really bulk up, get him on the heavy meats and shit. And
that's Tanguy. That's Tanguy chef money right there. That's Tanguy personal chef money.
Detox, mate. I'd buy Tanguy, the best personal trainer on the planet, right?
Buy him Gordon Ramsay with
sessions every day and say, this is what you're gonna do, mate. This is what you can do to get your fitness up, and then we're gonna see a good Tanguy. But no, honestly, like, do you know what? I can't even fathom spending 36 million on Carlos Vinicius or Chris Wood. So I honestly, my opinion, I can't even answer that.
You have to answer it. It doesn't matter whether you can fathom spending 36 million. At the end of the day, it's a quick fire question. They're the two strikers. Pick one.
It doesn't matter if you can fathom it. That's hilarious.
I'll go Chris Wood.
Chris Wood for him. Nick, if you're put in this scenario, it's a spoil of riches. It's spoil of riches as well. It's a spoil of riches where you're wasting all your money, you might say as well. But what would you go for? Chris Wood for 36 million or Carlos?
Yeah, I mean, 36 million could buy a lot of therapy session hours for Ndombele right there, man. So the money would be better spent. I'm a little bit biased, man, in that, none of you know, but Lazy is not actually my surname. You might have guessed that. My surname is actually Wood. So just for the glory of being able to put that
Big
on the back of the kit, I'm gonna go.
That's a great way.
For all I know of Chris Wood is he looks like a giant plank who can score every once in a while.
He's got a plank for a head, I'll tell you that, and it hits it in.
Yeah, but he does. He's effective, when on set pieces, man. So I go for Wood every time. That being said, I don't think that Vinicius had the run of games or was the right situation.
I agree with that.
Yeah, but the money that they were asking was crazy. And wasn't it even like you can have him on loan for a year and then pay 45 million? And then
I think it even reached. I mean, who knows? That probably might not be true. I might say that might not be true.
36 million is in pounds.
Yeah, it's
and 45 million is in euros.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well, the money was ridiculous. I never understood it when I heard it. But yeah, I think it's Chris every day.
Well, you know why they did that, right? They did that deal because they knew that they could get a player on loan, and they were never going to pay 36 million.
Well, that actually paid their whole Yaremchuk fee. No. That was the thing. They paid their whole Yaremchuk fee. That was the thing.
Just quickly, they done the Vinicius deal, right? Because he had one good season at Benfica, right? Scored 18 goals, okay? And it was an opportunist deal. It was an opportunist deal that if it worked out, they looked like, heroes. And if it didn't, there was no skin off their nose. It was like, well, look, we brought him in and it didn't work out. It was an opportunist deal. This guy, right, is 26 years old, right, and has spent one season at a club that's actually bought him. Just one. All the rest, he's been loaned out. He's been loaned out to lower league teams across Europe. He had a spell at Monaco, 16 games, 2 goals. That's not enough. He had a good spell at Rio Ave when he was on loan there, but they're the only 2 seasons he's had. At the end of the day, the guy's a journeyman. He is just a journeyman. And look, I get it. People can say he wasn't given the minutes, but there's a reason why he wasn't given the minutes, because he wasn't good enough. We had a whole year to look at this guy. And if there was any sort of way they fancied him, they would have brought him in this summer regardless.
Yeah. Well said. And everybody, I do apologize. I know it did seem like a bit of a, I don't know how to put this properly, so I'm just going to say it this way. It seemed like a bit of a question, beneath the Harris Army's intelligence. It just seemed like a question, that they would be plenty better than, and they absolutely shot it down in the way that they did, David. But moving on to the third one.
Before you say that, Jack, sorry, I just saw a comment, right? It's from Wesley. He put, for the £36 million question, he go, hire son's dad for Tanguy. Yeah, this one.
Yeah,
dead on,
That's what I'm
Wesley.
saying. It's personal
brilliant.
trainer money. It's
I
personal
love
trainer.
that. That
Gotta
is
get him into shape,
one of the
man.
best comments. That is
Just
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure actually Sonny's dad has actually been requesting to do it for free. That's the other thing. I think he's actually been requesting to become Tanguy's
should.
new father. He's been
He should.
requesting to become Tanguy's new father.
I'd love it,
just to
mate.
teach him a lesson.
It'll whip him into shape, mate. It'll show him how to be a man.
No, 100%, 100%. Just quickly, Jacko. Faz Radfar is in here. Says Mason killed Ndombele by excluding him from the cup final.
Dave, you know how I feel about this, Dave. Because I can't comment on this. I was actually shot down about this before, Faz, because I actually, to a degree, I will admit, I was kind of in the same camp as you, Faz. But I will admit, Faz, I was kind of shot down. About this. I kind of did see, maybe it is kind of crazy to assume that Tanguy would be kind of bullied by the big bad, Ryan Mason. It is kind of a bit ridiculous that would get to him. But still, I will say, if I were as talented as Tanguy and I was watching the likes of Harry Winks and et cetera be picked over me, after practically nothing they had done, considering last season as well, Harry Winks had done nothing to deserve to be in that squad. Tanguy was in that squad the whole season, busting his ass, in a lard ass way. I would say busting his lard ass. It felt like he deserved it still. It still felt like he deserved the consideration from Mason. But again, that's just me being on my Tanguy love train, and I'm going to get right off it because I know that Tanguy love train is a bit too sympathetic. But Faz, all I will say, I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
But we've been shot down before, Faz. We need to be a bit more ruthless. That's all I can say, Faz. We're just going to have to learn. As much as we love Tanguy, we're just going to have to learn. But moving on to the third one, guys, what would be your front three for the upcoming Crystal Palace match if Sonny is going to be injured? For me, I'm going to go Bryan Gil, Harry Kane, and Lucas. That's going to be me. That's going to be the front three up top. David, how about you?
No, I fully agree. Look, if he is going with a front three, I think you see Bryan Gil on the left, Lucas on the right, Harry Kane up top. Yeah, that's what I'm going with. I think I'll do wonders. Put Bryan Gil up against that fraud, what's his name, Ward or whatever his name, that fullback is, the slow coach. He's going to destroy him.
I love Ripsy, by the way. Ripsy said that would kill Son's dad. Tanguy would even break Sonny's dad. That would be hilarious. Of all the people, if he breaks Sonny's dad, then we know it's a lost cause. We know it's a lost cause if he breaks Sonny's dad. But Danny, how about you? What would be your front three?
I said it earlier on. It's exactly the same for me. Exactly the same. I want to see us exactly who I want to see. I want to see Hill on the left, Kane up top, and Lucas on the right. And I want to see Ndombele with Dele Alli and Højbjerg if Skip's injured. That's what I want to see.
That sounds nice. Nick, what about you?
I think it's a straight flush, man. It's all in. We're all on the same page, man. We need somebody to unlock the hard defenses, man.
Yep.
And we did. The Watford game, we won, but I don't think anybody was overly impressed with how we did. We needed some real creativity in there. Yeah, and Ndombele and Hill would be great. I would at least like to just see Hill start.
No, I mean, it's and what's sad as well is, Højbjerg, will have to be a bit more, defensively focused. So we won't be able to put Højbjerg, a bit further forward. So I agree with you, Nick. Actually, great point there. Really good point there. The last one of extra time. Would 60 minutes of lazy Ndom Lardas be better than dealing with 90 minutes of Harry Winks against Crystal Palace? I know this might seem a bit obvious. But there are plenty that would argue, maybe 90 minutes of Harry Winks actually might be a bit better damage control or whatever. With 60 minutes of Lardas, you have to realize you do have to make a substitution. You have to have someone who can come into the team. Whereas you do know with Winks, he is technically capable of playing 90 minutes. For me, I would go for 60 minutes, but I would hesitate. It's not as easy as, it's not as obvious it might say, because, this might be a more divisive question than some might think. David, how about you?
Yeah, look, Jack, I don't think it's close at all. I disagree with you there. For me, look, I'd take 60 minutes. I'd take 60 minutes of Ronald McDombele all day long. Look, for me, at least with Ronald McDombele in there, right, you're going to see some forward passing. He'll try things. With Harry Winks, you know what he's going to do. Back to play, pass it back to Dyer, pass it out to the left back, take it back out to the right back.
And
And
I'm
then
in nightmares already before I go to bed, man.
And then when we are like trying to, you know, catch these teams quick out on the counter, the guy takes about 30 minutes, lets the whole team get back in front of him, and then do you know what he does? Passes at 5 yards. So for me, I don't want to see this guy anywhere near the team anymore. I've had enough. He's causing my doctor bills to go through the roof. My blood pressure medication, you know, I'm on double the stuff for that now.
He's refilling it constantly.
And I'm not sleeping well because of him, because I keep getting flashbacks of the Bayern Munich game where he got his pocket picked, you know, the game against Pacos de Ferreira. And I'm honest, I just cannot do with this guy anymore. I just don't rate him whatsoever. So I'd go at 60 minutes of Ronald Ndombele and then bring in a Divine or a White or something like that.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, personally, like I said before, it's 60 minutes of Ndombele for me, just because I love him, just for the crack. I love the techers and everything. If I could get 20 minutes of it and you get subbed off at that point, I probably would still say yes. But that's why, you know, you have Dark Sun G in the dugout and not me. That's why you have Dark Sun G in the dugout, you know, to be a bit more, you know, composed, a bit more realistic. But for Nick, what about you? 60 minutes of Tanguy or 90 minutes of Harry Winks? What's better for this squad?
I'll just say, man, just for our collective psyche. I mean, imagine what's going to happen if we see on that team selection sheet Saturday morning, Ndombele's in there in the starting 11. I mean, imagine crazy. as you know, the fan base collectively, that's going to be a massive lift up. Like it's, you know,
I would be like a little schoolboy. I will admit.
Imagine what the general psyche is going to be if we see Winks in the starting 11. I'm gonna leave it with that right there.
You know what? Just quickly, there's nothing worse than doing the pre-match pump-ups on We Are Tottenham TV and then seeing his name come up on the team sheet. It just plates me. It takes all the blood from my face, you know, and then it just winds me up, and I find it hard to motivate people. Then it kills me.
Yeah, I imagine it would, David. I imagine it would, honestly. We Are Tottenham TV, anybody that watches David, I'm pretty much up on We Are Tottenham TV. The amount of times that David has had to keep face, considering what, you know, he goes through over here at Irish Hotspur. David is giving you, obviously, you know, a very composed version of himself over at We Are Tottenham TV when it comes to Winks. So, David, I will say applauds to you. But Danny, 90 minutes of Harry Winks, would that be better for the squad? Or is it just 60 minutes of Lardas that's actually better?
60 minutes of Lardas, 100 billion%. Like, I don't want to. I told you, I do not want to see Winks in a Tottenham shirt again. I do not want to see him wearing this Tottenham shirt this season again. Not
even the third kit, that horrible kit you're wearing right now.
Not even the purple kit, not even the training kit. He should not be wearing any Tottenham gear whatsoever. The guy is a fraud. He's happy to take a wage at Spurs because he knows he's not going to get a contract like this anywhere else. He knows his career is downhill once he leaves Spurs. That's why he's happy to stay. I saw someone in the comments there earlier. He's happy to stay because he wants to stay. Bullshit. He doesn't. He wants to stay because he knows he's fucked after he leaves Spurs. That's all it is of Harry Winks. I would give anything to see Tanguy play ahead of Winks. Right? He will give you, like Dave said and like Nick said, more than anything that Winks could offer you in 5 minutes on the pitch. Like, the guy offers. I mean, just that, even the pre-season, that fucking thing you see on Twitter when you watch the pre-season game against Chelsea, that lack of effort in that tackle. Are you serious? You're a fucking midfielder who's getting paid 30, 40, 50 grand a week, and you do a tackle like that. It's like a fucking toddler could make a tackle better than that. Honestly, I saw people today at football who are like 3 times the size of Winks in terms of their weight or whatever, and they show more balls and more fucking aggression than Winks can. And these are people who've got stamina issues and shit. They smoke like they can't, and honestly, the guy is, I can't stand him. I want him gone. He's a fucking he raises my blood pressure as well, man. I'm with Dave on this. And honestly, like I said, if I saw Brian Hill and Ndombele in that team sheet on the weekend, I'm going to be buzzing. I'm going to be excited to watch what I'm going to see in that game because I know I'm going to see chances. That is for a fact.
Absolutely going to be seeing chances created for sure. Benedict Hampus here with a fantastic name, as I will say, Mr. Hampus.
I like it.
I love that surname, Mr. Hampus. And let me know if I'm saying that, by the way, correctly. But he does say, I know the ship has sailed, but do you think Zaha would have benefited our team when we were linked, or do you think he's a big fish in a small pond? Personally, Benedict, I've always rated Zaha. I really would I have paid any price for Zaha? Probably not, but considering, we were linked with, what was it, Traore for 40 million, whatever, amount, I would have easily paid that much for Zaha. Believe me, actually, not even kidding. And this is probably even going against what I normally would say about budgeting, what I normally would say about how you should spend your money and whatnot. I've always rated Zaha. I've always really liked him. I think he's actually proven himself multiple times every season at the likes of Crystal Palace, especially considering there were some seasons that he was the only reason Crystal Palace weren't relegated. So I think we have to, take that into account as well. So with Zaha, I just think he's been proven in the Premier League, as well as I would say that guy can take a tackle, because there were plenty of seasons when everybody was just hacking at that guy every single second they could, because they knew he was the only way that Crystal Palace would score a goal. And somehow Zaha was still able to pull himself up every single match and play the way that he would. So I would pay almost any price for Zaha, probably no more than 45 million, I would probably say. But yeah, I would pay the Traore price for Zaha. I would absolutely pay the Traore price for Zaha. That would be my answer to you, Benedict. What about you, David? Would that be your answer?
Me, look, yeah, I would pay in around 40, 50 million for Zaha, no more than that. But the problem is Palace won about 70, 80 days.
Yeah, and that was always the issue.
They want that money to kind of, give themselves a good rebuild. And look, it's not going to happen. One thing I will say, Benedict, is look, he hasn't really exploded into life so far this season. The way Vieira plays and the way he has him sticking out on the wing, it doesn't suit Zaha. So hopefully he's a bit anonymous against us at the weekend, or he could explode. So it'll be very interesting to see what he does. But big up, Benedict.
He's a bit better served up top. You are right, David. He's a bit better served up top than less with the defensive duties. Dark Sun G saying, and also Benedict, fantastic super chat. Don't you worry, Benedict. Doesn't matter what time you put it in. Like David has always said, if you want to jump the queue, if you want us to just talk about what you're thinking about Benedict, no reason to hesitate. Dark Sun G saying, no easy pass. He is a ticking time bomb ready to explode, like the West Ham game at home and the FA Cup away at Everton. He's the reason we got 7. Mm-hmm. Ticking time bomb. I mean, I know the whole Harris Army will probably agree to that. But again, Dark Sun G, as always, perfect wording. Let us know, Harris Army. Is he the ticking time bomb that the Tottenham has always had? For me, he is a ticking time bomb. I actually don't think there's a better word to describe him. David, how about you?
No, look, 100% ticking time bomb. Look, look, all I'm going to say is every time I've watched this guy play, and I'm being serious every time, and I really noticed it when you went from Dembele and Wanyama down to this guy, is every time
ticking time stink bomb, Dave. Ticking.
We lose the midfield battle. We lose the midfield battle. And we get overrun in midfield. And he is a ticking time bomb, a mistake waiting to happen. Could not agree more, Dark Sun G. He's always on the ball, Jack.
Ticking stink bomb. Ticking stick bomb. That's all I would say. Ticking stink bomb. That's all I will say. Absolutely, Dark Sun G. 100%. And Benedict Tampa's just saying, sorry if my comment is obsolete. Just logged in. Benedict, like I said, no worries. If you want to jump the queue, Benedict, there's no reason to apologize as well for you to apologize with a super chat as well. I mean, Benedict, you're just an absolute legend. You're an absolute legend. You're a bit too kind, Benedict. You're a bit too kind as well, especially with a surname like that. We should all be calling you Sir Hampus as well. Honestly, fantastic surname. Sorry, David. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say just quickly, Nick and Danny, we only have a couple of super chats to get to here. So maybe do you want to tell everyone where they can find you and we'll let you go?
I can wait, man. It's no problem.
You sure?
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
Okay.
Just making sure. That's very kind of you, David. Dark Sun G saying to David Winks, or to David Winks is more. Actually, David, you should read this then. I think is what he's saying.
I don't know what PS stands for, but Winks is more than easy pass. PS is passion sucker. So Winks is more of a passion sucker than easy pass or passion mosquito. He sucks the passion out of you. Kang in Lee 7
parasite.
Honestly, I'll butcher this super chat, Jack. You're better.
Here, I'll do it for you, Dave. I'll do it for David. Winks is more of a passion sucker or even a passion mosquito, is I think what he's saying, David. He's a passion parasite. He sucks away the passion from the rest of the squad. He sucks the passion out of you. Kang in Lee, 7 years. 7-year-old plays better than him. 7-year-old Kongan Lee was better than him, David. Of course, David, I know you've seen the highlight packages of Mr. Kongan Lee, the South Korean baller, formerly of Valencia. I know probably a 7-year-old Kongan Lee might even be better than, an easy pass right now. Do you feel like you would make that argument, David?
Yeah, look, I think a lot of people are better than Harry Winks, I'll be honest with you.
Everyone is.
Yeah, everyone is. I agree with him. I do think, look, he definitely has more ability. Kongan Lee does. He has a lot more ability, Jacko.
That Spanish Korean sensation. That's all I will say. That Spanish Korean sensation from Valencia is an absolute baller, Dark Sunji, and I can't wait to see him come through. I'd love to see him play anywhere. Honestly, I'd love to see him hold down the midfield in comparison to Winks, is what I would say to you, Dark Sunji. But Dark Sunji, I really do hope. I hope you're keeping well. You've been an absolute legend as always, Dark Sunji, and as well, from ticking time bomb to passion mosquito. I mean, honestly, these are all perfect descriptions of Harry Winks. Honestly, passion mosquito as well as ticking time bomb. No better way to describe the man. Honestly, no better way to describe the man in such shorter words. Dark Sunji, like always, I'll say it again. I will pay out of my own pocket just to have you sitting next to Nuno in the dugout, just to have you whispering to the players and everything and whatnot. Maybe even just have you sit next to Paratici instead of Hitchin. Dark Sunji, I'd rather have you sit next to him than Hitchin. But David here with a super chat. Big yourself up, David. The name of biblical kings. And he says, brilliant show, lads. Big up, Danny and Nick. Here's hoping to Son playing Saturday and 3 more points. Best channel on the YouTube. Absolutely. Honestly, David, you're an absolute legend. Like I said, it's a leader of countries. Its name. It's a leader of countries. Leaders of civilizations, might even add. Leaders of empires kind of name, David. It's biblical. It's glorious, honestly, at the name as well. And as well as the super chat from David. Honestly, I really do hope that Sonny comes back into it. I hope that's all the luck that we need just from that alone, David. And I do appreciate the support as always, David. You're an absolute legend. Anything to say?
Yeah, I promise it's not me, even though my name is David. Look, but what I will say is, look, when I was born, my mom and dad were like, what can I name him? Let's name him the name, where when they have this name, David, they're destined for greatness. So big up, great name. And look, I'm glad, that he's put in about Danny and Nick as well. This show wouldn't happen without these guys and their input. It's a panel I was very keen to get together. I'm glad we could get it together tonight. I hope everyone has really, really enjoyed this show, just like David, just like Dark Sunji, and many before them, Benedict as well, many, many before them. I hope everyone has really enjoyed this show, but honestly, I want everyone to get in the comments now and just big up Danny and big up Nick for his, first full appearance on one of these debate shows, guys. Get in there and absolutely big them up. I thought it was brilliant, and let us know what you thought of it. Let us know what you thought of this show, why we are going around and letting the boys tell us where we can find them if you want to follow them. So look, we'll start with the bun, and then we'll get on to Nicky.
Yeah, I just want to add to that, Dave, right? And I just want to say one thing, right? Also, if it wasn't for you people in the comments, the Harris Army, right? This channel wouldn't happen. So you guys are unbelievable. Without you, your support, and you keep watching and putting your input in and everything, like people like Dark Sunji, there's so many people. But yeah, it was not the same without you. So you have to say a massive thanks to everyone here in the Harris Army, because it's nothing without you.
100%. I'll get to that at the end, Danny. There you took the speech.
I know, but I'm sorry that I just wanted to add it, right, because this is the Harris Army, innit? But look, also people who haven't done, please, what's it on 88 likes already? So we need to get this up to 100 at least. If it's so, we need to try and get it to 100.
Usually it's 150 minimum.
I know. Do you know what I mean? We need to get this up.
Look, people are getting a bit lazy over this international break. Don't worry, we'll get them all in shape for the Palace game.
They just need a win. They just need a win, Dave. They've forgotten. That's kind of the top of the table privilege. It's top of the table privilege is all I will say. But Oklahoma Cockeratus was an absolute Ellie.
Big up Ellie. Big up Ellie.
What's the sticker, Jack?
And Ellie as well.
I'm looking at it right now, David. It's actually quite funny. It's an OP sticker, and it's like a little rhino, or I think it's a rhino or a pig, and it's like a robotic rhino or pig, and it says overpowered or OP David. It's like Robo Dave is what probably you would say. Robo David, Robo Irish Hotspur is probably what it looks like. David, would you consider David? I think what she's trying to say. Would you consider yourself overpowered, Dave?
What do you mean overpowered?
Maybe too much for the people to handle, maybe too much, to be reckoned with, kind of thing, maybe a force to be reckoned with. That's what she seems to be saying with the super chat. You're OP, David. She's saying you're OP.
force to be reckoned with. Look, I'll let the fans decide that one. Bit overpowering. Yeah, maybe sometimes. But look, you know, I haven't got to where I've got to without, you know, sharing my opinions, you know, loud and proud either. So, look, thank you, Ellie. I really, really do appreciate the support. By the way, I will say I tuned into your show earlier. I enjoyed it. Keep up the work. I hope you're buzzing and on a high after it as well. And, yeah, look, Ellie, you're an absolute legend. And, yeah, look, I'll let the fans decide about that, Jackal.
No, I mean, Ellie, all I can say is, again, absolute legend, Ellie. We really do appreciate it. And as well, everybody, Ellie does have a show coming out with our very own Philip. Philip, by the way, who you've seen from the previews, from the reviews, you know, from the fan show. Philip will be leading a show with Ellie. It'll be a dynamic duo, a front two. I would say a world-class front two. And then there will be David or I, you know, kind of just sitting in the background just to make sure, you know, we get your comments up on screen and whatnot, you know, for the Harris Army. But as well, Ellie will be leading a show alongside Philip, our very own Philip of the Harris Army, in the future. It will be coming up very soon, right after the international break, practically. So everybody, stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for that. And Ellie, as always, really do appreciate you. Absolute legend, Ellie. Absolute legend. And apparently we're overpowered, according to her, David. Apparently we're overpowered. But William McKenzie, again, with the New Zealanders, they're just honestly, Dave, they're probably, if I were to name, you know, a certain continent of the world that maybe just means that much to the Harris Army, it really is, you know, the Oceania region. They're absolutely brilliant. The Australians, you know, the New Zealanders, everybody in the down under, they're absolutely world class for the Harris Army. And William McKenzie saying, come on, you Spurs, for the weekend, lads. I think we will win. Hill and Ndombele to be threats, and Kane just rifling them in. I mean, that just sounds beautiful. Just sounds like butter, I would say. Just to see Ndombele come in, just to see Hill come in, maybe Kane, you know, doing some beautiful link up between the three. I mean, David, I would say the link up between those three just sounds absolutely, I mean, it's just making my mouth water.
No, look, there's definitely goals in that. If you look, especially with Hill and Kane, with Ndombele, I just want to see him last 90 minutes and do it for 90 minutes. But there's definitely goals in there. But William, what I want to know is, what do you know that I don't? Because look, I see Harry Kane on the day. I'm the Kane whisperer. I see his hair, and I usually can predict whether he's going to score or not. So look, the fact that you're putting this in this early, you must know something that I don't. So I need to know. It's killing me now. But big up, William. Absolutely appreciate the support, my man. I really do. Look, I'm pumped for this weekend. I really am. I can't wait to do the get onto the shows about the pre-match, the stats with Jack. And all that sort of stuff. I'm absolutely pumped, and there's definitely goals in that with Gill and Ndombele. And look, if Kane can smash them in like he did with his goal for England tonight, I'm all for it. One thing I will just note quickly is Kane was actually shit for England tonight. I hope it was the fact that he was maybe protecting himself. He didn't want to get injured and wanted to play for the Palace game, because imagine if he got England injured playing after the whole summer fiasco, fans would have been in meltdown. You know, this would have been World War III. So I think hopefully it was about him protecting himself. But with a world-class player like that, he can play shit. All he needs is one moment, and he's proven that. So big up, William. I hope he does. My man, absolute legend.
Big up, William. Big up, William, from the Shamu country, and everybody over in New Zealand. I will say, you guys are absolute legends. I will say the impression that you have given me over in Australia and New Zealand from the Harris Army alone has just been unbelievable. You guys are all absolute legends. But big yourself up. Absolutely big yourself up. That'll be all, though, for tonight. It's gone on a while, I will say. Maybe because I will admit the questions were very debate heavy this one. And also a bit, you know, kind of even preview-ish, you know, to the Crystal Palace game. But as always, to the panel, they've been absolute class, David. They've been absolute class, especially Nick, with a debut for, I will say, not a lot of easy questions.
Oh, man.
Not a lot of easy questions. You did absolutely class.
You know, but thank you so much for having me on there, man. And just to Benedict Hampus, you know, man, I understand what you're saying. I've been a little bit quiet on the side there. But really, I'm just here to make these guys look prettier, man. You know, that's my job. I'm kind of like, you know, the ugly girl you bring to the club with you to, you know, you want to big yourself.
We're all wearing flat caps, Nick. I will say you probably look the best in one. You probably look the best in a flat cap. Maybe flat caps off, it might be a different story. Maybe it's a different story, flat caps off. But flat caps on, Nick, I would say you look the most stylish for sure. You look the most stylish for sure. You're looking great.
Yeah, it's a slick one. I'm a bit jealous. As soon as he came on, I was like, he's outdone me with the flat cap. How can this be?
Yeah, maybe flat caps off. Maybe flat caps off. Like with
I got to dress for the occasion, David, man. For you guys, I got to dress for the occasion.
And I'm not going to lie, I'm liking the color of that polo as well. I've been eyeing it on stream. I really like the polo.
You can come and raid my work whenever you're in New York, man. You can check out my closet, man. People
Take
tell
a
me
look
my
at
closet looks like the wardrobe to Peaky Blinders.
No, absolutely love it. No, look, definitely will. Look, I'd say you have a fair few Spurs
Nick,
top. I'd
It'll
say
be
you even
stealing
have
your
a few
clothes.
retro
It'll be
ones.
stealing your clothes.
I'd say there's a few retro ones there, is there?
Hey, Danny, real quick, man. Have you got a name on the back of that kit?
No, nothing yet.
Okay, because
Nothing
early
yet.
in the chat, somebody was asking if you got F. Levy on the back.
No, because do you know
The
why?
number
Because
10.
I put a tweet out like earlier on in the season before when this kit was released saying if I get 1,000 likes I was gonna put fuck off Levy or something on the back, but it didn't get to 1,000. It was close. It was close, but it didn't get to 1,000.
Pick everybody up then.
Thank you, Wesley, man. Thank you, Wesley. Joe Rogan wishes he was as good looking as me.
I would say, actually, honestly, yeah. I think Joe wishes he was as good as looking as a lot of people. I think Joe is definitely trying to mimic even Nick's style. I mean, honestly, Joe is even.
I mean, he
lucky
stole my
to
haircut.
even be
That's for
considered
sure.
near Nick's style. Even lucky to be even considered near Nick's style. I would say considered to be in the same room would be lucky for Joe. But everybody, as always, Kaniki answer me. It's been a good one. It's about Dark Sun G, William McKenzie, Aglaya Kakaradas, Mr. Hampus.
Wow.
Everybody, oh wow, Ellie here,
amazing.
Ellie in the house once
and
more.
I love Hoy beer donation, Here's what I will say to you, Ellie. I might just have to go down a bit of a Hoy beer rant, and I will just say, Hoy beer. It does seem like he is the one that I will make this call right now, David. For me, I think Hoy beer is staying at this club for the rest of his career. I'm making that claim. claim. It just
From
seems
your
like
lips to God's ears, man.
it's like he was, even though he's from the Bayern Munich Academy, and I know people like to say, oh, he's from X Academy in Norway. Believe me, I think he was like 14 or 15 when he was at those academies. So believe me, when he was actually at a real professional academy, he was taken by Bayern. Bayern took him in. Bayern kind of realized, listen, we have too much going on at the moment. Højbjerg kind of maybe took that as a lesson, realized he need to improve on his game, despite him being from the very beginning of his career, obviously a very talented player by the likes of Bayern, including him in their academy. But moved on from there, went on to Southampton with the Ralph Hasenhüttl system, practically became Southampton fans' favorite player over there, became the one that they all loved. And then he moved on from there, basically told Southampton fans, listen, there's a club I've always had my eye on, maybe even a lady that he's always had his eye on, maybe David and the likes of Ellie Kakaradas. Maybe he's always had Ellie on his mind in this regard, saying, listen, there's a club I've always been meaning to go to. There are these fans I've always been meaning to serve. And that's all I will say. It feels like Højbjerg. All I will say, Højbjerg is going to be here forever. That's all I'm going to say. You heard it here.
I got one thing to say. He was born to play for Spurs.
He's born to play for Spurs.
I
There
agree.
it goes, Dan. There it goes.
But what I will say is, Ellie, look, I really appreciate the donation. But one of these days, instead of donating, you got to give it to Højbjerg to add to his tattoos. I know you admire them collection of tattoos he's got. I know you do. No, look, I agree with Jack. I do.
It's all on one sleeve too, David. It's like he's just classy like that. He doesn't need two arms for it. He just builds it up on one sleeve.
Look, I love him. Look, Jack, me, you, and Ellie, one thing we all have in common is our love for Pierre, our absolute adulation for Pierre. And Ellie, look, I really appreciate the support. You're way too kind to us. Look, we don't know what we've done to deserve you, but it's great to have you around the place, and I really appreciate everything you do for us. And you know that. Much love and thank you so much. And one thing I will say is, if anyone's looking for jerseys soon, she's your woman to go to. Trust me. So, just keep that in mind. Oh Jesus.
I was just gonna say, just when I was gonna give another response to it, Ellie, I guess I'm just gonna have to carry it over to this one, Ellie. But for the last one, Ellie, again, I don't know what to say, Ellie. You're an absolute legend to David and I. You're an absolute legend. We don't know what to say to you. You're the saint of the Harris Army. You're the queen of the Harris Army. Like Dark Sun G is the king or the bishop of the Harris Army, you might say. Ellie, you are the undoubted queen of the Harris Army for sure. And so, Ellie, we do absolutely appreciate you. And she says, if he stays forever, I will die one happy lady. Believe me. I mean, the Pierre shirt was already bought after one. It was already bought after one season, David. I bought the Pierre shirt after one season, regardless of the Levy era, regardless of, what we had gone through, under last season, regardless of how depressing you might say it was. I still was that moved by Højbjerg, knowing that Højbjerg was, in my opinion, our best player last season, apart from Harry Kane's numbers. I would say Højbjerg was still the one that held it all together for us. And yeah, there's nothing I could do more than just to have him on my back for the rest of my career, David, as a Spurs fan.
Do you know what, Jack? I'm not a big fan of getting numbers or names on the back of the jersey. I'll be honest, I'm a bit vain. What I'd like if I was to get something on the back of the jersey, it's like King number 1 or Harris number 10 or something crazy, something stupid like that, But look, if I am ever going to get a name on a jersey, it's definitely between Harry Kane and Højbjerg. And look, Ellie did send me a jersey. I don't know what's on the back. I can't remember. But whoever's not on the back, I'm going to get the other one. So that's what I'm going to do. I do think I should be getting a Højbjerg jersey, to be honest with you. I might even have to buy one of them fake sleeves you can buy for your arm with the tattoos just to walk around with them, just to be like Pierre. I already have the haircut, to be fair. Fringe is looking at me. But I already have the Pierre haircut there, the fresh trim. So I just need the fake sleeve that you can buy. And
you're hitting the gym as well, Dave. You'll be looking like Højbjerg in no time. You'll be looking like Højbjerg in no time. Even the facial hair is a bit similar to Højbjerg, I must add.
Well, he copied me and I'm older.
That's right, actually. I was going to say maybe David has to teach him a bit, a thing or two, maybe in the midfield in terms of, have a nice touch or not. But Højbjerg and Ellie, you guys are one and the same to me. Absolutely one and the same to me. You guys are absolute legends. Ellie, we absolutely love you and appreciate you as always. And Højbjerg will be in our hearts forever, as well as I know it will be in yours. And so, Ellie, I know that you'll be dying one happy lady by knowing that Højbjerg will be included in it. But absolutely, Ellie, honestly, 100%. And jeez.
Just quickly, Nick has to pop off there. Nick, man, I just want to say quickly before you plug yourself, your social medias where people can follow you. I want to say a massive thank you for your input today. I really valued it. At the time you came on the fan show. Nice. I'd love to see you on a lot more streams.
My pleasure, bro.
See a lot more of you around here, my man.
My pleasure. What you guys put together for us, it's really something that brings people together, man. And I appreciate you having me on, without a doubt. And as far as catching me, man, you can catch me on the block or around the corner, any playground in Brooklyn, trying to get my kids to stop strangling each other. That's where you can catch me. You can catch me on Twitter, man. You want to hit me up? Other than that, you can catch me in the chat on the Irish Hotspur, man, because I'm there pretty much every day that you guys are on. That's where you
love it.
Look, you're not going to be in the chat much longer. You're going to be on here with us, Nick, every time we can get you, my man.
And Danny, a pleasure too, man. You guys have a good night.
It's been an absolute pleasure to be here with you, Nick.
Rest well, Nick. Rest well, because you'll be needing you.
No problem. I got to deal with the missus a little bit right now, but I'm blaming you, David.
no better person to blame. I do it every night. Nick. Believe me, just use that excuse from here on out. It works. Believe me, Nick, it works.
Without a doubt. I will leave off with the customary "In Nuno we trust," because we do.
Whoa, love that, Nick. Classy send off. Peace. Good night, Nick. Good night, Nick. Absolute legend. What an absolute legend, everybody. Brilliant. What an absolute legend. Honestly, Nick, as well. Just got to say, love that guy. He was a good friend for me on Sunday as well. When the missus was out with the friends, I need somebody to hang out with that day. Just hit up Nick. He and I just got out, got a beer, talk about Spurs. We were watching, the whole Argentina situation go down, kind of talking about that. It was honestly class. I will say, Nick, absolute legend of the Harris Army as well. And anybody else in New York or Brooklyn, please let me know. Again, I hung out with Nick last weekend. If you want to find some Spurs fan, to chat with, hang out with, again, Nick and I are totally available. At least I'm available. You can plenty hit up me, like David has said before in plenty of his streams. My social media is available. My email is available. Everything that you can find me on is available in the description below. But everybody, Nick was absolutely class, I must say. Absolute class. And Ellie, again, she's saying, you guys deserve some Ben and Jerry's, yet alone at Spurs shirts. Hey, Ellie, again, I was speaking to you earlier, though, Ellie. And again, I'm the one that owes you the Ben and Jerry's. So I don't know what you're doing this for. You're putting me in further Ben and Jerry's debt here, Ellie. You're putting me in further Ben and Jerry's debt. And I will say the Ben and Jerry's, I'm going to have to find some way, some cooling mechanism, to bring all the Ben and Jerry's maybe from the US on the plane. Because I know in Tesco, maybe in certain parts of London, I know the Ben and Jerry's runs a bit expensive. So I would say, I'm going to have to find some place on my way over to London, maybe mid-flight, I'll have to find some, way to get the Ben and Jerry's down, to get the Ben and Jerry's over to you. You're an absolute legend, Ellie, absolute legend. But you're putting me in a further Ben and Jerry's debt because I practically owe you almost, I would say, a shipment, almost a full, a full crate of Ben and Jerry's at this point, Ellie. I owe you a full crate. So maybe we'll just be dining on it together, maybe with Højbjerg, just sitting on, the nice couch, watching, some old Spurs clips, some old Spurs goals, is eating our Ben and Jerry's. I bet Højbjerg and I would probably go for a pistachio. I bet you would probably go for a chunky monkey. But Ellie, honestly, again, absolute legend, and we do appreciate you, Ellie.
No, look, way too kind. I just want to echo what John is saying, or Catman Jess, sorry, not John, what Catman Jess is saying here, and says Ellie is amazing, such a legend. We have to make sure we turn up for Ellie and Philip's show. Harris Army, return the love. Come on, you Spurs. So please do exactly what Catman Jess says. When we do drop this show, guys, please give this girl the support, or this lady, sorry. This lady, the support really does deserve it. Really deserves it.
Give the queen the support. Give the queen the support. That's all I will say. The queen of the Harris Army, you need to give her support as well, because even if you like Philip, I know everybody's loved Philip. Philip has been absolutely class. Philip and Ellie will be tag teaming this. This will be their show. I mean, David and I will be kind of in the background, putting up your comments on screen, dealing with whatever needs to be done. But it will be their show. So everybody, if you like Philip, if you like Ellie, and I know you do like Ellie and Philip because they're absolute legends of the fan show, mainstays of the fan show, and of the Harris Army, of course. But everybody, I mean, there's no reason not to give them full support. I mean, they've been such legends to us, and they've honestly been so class on the fan shows. We need to give them this opportunity, and I know they're going to take it in full stride.
No, look, I think they fully deserve it, Jack. They've never let us down.
Fully deserve it.
Fully deserve. So, look, Jack, we know we're going to do our best to make it the very best possible and give them every chance.
Correct.
And I just want the Harris Army to do the same. Big up, Ellie. The support is absolutely insane. Dark Sun G says Pierre-Emile Højbjerg was such a bargain. Kyle Walker-Peters and some cash for a god. Yeah, it was. Honestly, that could go down as one of the deals of the decade. Decade is 10 years. Am I right? Yeah, decade.
Yeah, no, Dave, you might be right. It is actually the deal of the decade. You might be right. It is the deal of the decade, considering. Yeah. They fit it right under the window as well, Dave, the 2019 window as well. So they got it right in time. They did it right in time. So maybe the 2010 to 2020 era might be kind of crazy, but maybe the Højbjerg signing, you might say, might be the number one. Maybe Sonny, of course, Sonny might be the one that you probably would put at number one, but Højbjerg is maybe a strong number two. I would say a strong number two.
Be the signing that really kicks off the revolution here at Tottenham. Look, let's go overboard for 5 minutes. It could be the signing. It kicks off the revolution.
I would go number one for me personally. I'll go number one, but it can't not be anything higher. It has to be number two or higher. It has to be.
Look, it's definitely in the top two anyway, for sure, 100%. Big up Dark Sun G. Again, another, with the stats and everything else. What a legend, what a hero.
For some cash for a god and some cash for a god. Well done.
Yeah,
well done, Dark
Sun G. I love it. And then we'll take this last one, and then we are checking out, guys. Ellie again. Jesus, Ellie, honestly,
she's unbelievable, man.
Way too kind. Says this is for an appreciation of David and his new haircut. Thank you, really appreciate it. Look, obviously now it's a bit messed up. Didn't have time to do anything with it, but she's seen how good it looked yesterday. And says, and Danny's away shirt, which, look, I don't like it. I'm a bit disappointed that Danny bought it. But look, Danny, you got the away shirt. You see, you said it's grown on you.
I love it, man. I honestly love it. I think it's amazing. But we're going to win a trophy in this. We're going to win a trophy in this kit. I'm saying it here now.
Apparently, is that the exact kit it will be one in? It sounds like it'll be one away from home.
This kit.
One away from home as well. One away from home, the trophy
Ellie's
as well.
Good luck. That's Ellie's
good luck. Do you know what? That jersey is going to be one that maybe in about 15, 20 years that it probably will be a bit worth of money because it'd be rare to get. So good. I know you're thinking behind getting it, Danny. Don't worry. I know. And then Jack,
I'm thinking about another one because of that.
Yeah, you probably should, lad. Leave the tags and everything on it, lad. And then Jack, she says, and Jack's insight in our chat earlier on US politics.
We had a good chat about that. I don't really want to bring it up specifically, but all I will say is Ellie and we had a good chat about, I think there was something at one point in a poll related, something about, Spurs related to, and in my opinion, what would be, kind of a bad moment in American politics. And they were kind of equated to be the same thing, more or less. And me personally found it to be more or less a bit offensive to, kind of American situation and whatnot. But like I said, we're trying to stay away from politics and everything over here. So I'm going to move it quickly away from that. So Ellie, all I will say is absolutely love that conversation. It was absolute class. And as always, love our calls, love our conversations. You've been an absolute legend. And honestly, Ellie, it felt like, you were helping me because she was helping me through some of these Kaniki answer me questions, Dave. So she was not only, good help, but also a good distraction, not only, but also good help, And Ellie, as always, do really appreciate you. I really do appreciate you. And also, I don't want to, maybe we'll just keep that, politics conversation between ourselves because that, we do want to keep that away from football, maybe for the most part.
One here for you to comment on.
She's saying, I was coming on so late, lads, as actually was watching some films with Sam Rockwell, especially one called Moon. Jack, thanks for the recommendation. The film was awesome. She and I were also talking about the actors, Dave. I will say, and this is true, if anybody is looking for an American actor that they don't know about, that I would say you just look up all his films for, it would be Sam Rockwell. He's actually my favorite American actor. I would just stand by that. He's my favorite American actor. My favorite two actors in the world are Javier Bardem, the Spanish man, and Tom Hardy from the UK are my two favorite. But if I were to pick an American, it would be Sam Rockwell. He's been in Moon. He was just recently in that 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which was a great movie as well. He's in a ton of great movies. I honestly, I love him. I absolutely love him, Sam Rockwell. So, Ellie, I'm glad that you enjoyed that movie, Moon. It really is. It's a very spooky movie as well. It's a very spooky movie, but I really do. I'm glad you're enjoying it. But Ellie, honestly, she's bringing up all these fantastic conversations we had, Ellie, in the form of a super chat. So I don't know what to say, Ellie. Yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved that conversation about Sam Rockwell.
Yeah, I'll be honest, don't know nothing about Sam Rockwell, so it's not for me to comment. So that's why I left that one to Jack, Ellie. But Ellie, I just want to say, look, you are an amazing. You're way too nice to me and Jack. Way too kind. All I can say is, look, I really appreciate everything you do for us. All the constant support you give me and Jack.
He was in the Green Mile. Now that I'm remembering, actually, Dave. Yeah, he was in the Green Mile, Sam Rockwell. So in case that's important to you, but I know that's a very famous movie as well.
Yeah, I watched Green Mile. Which one?
He was in Jojo Rabbit as well recently as well. I'm just looking up his filmography. I kind of more knew him for the Green Mile and Moon and kind of more obscure kind of movies. But yeah, I absolutely love him. Sorry, David, I interrupted you.
No. Green Mile is a great film, by the way. It's a great film.
One of my favorites.
It's a great film.
So he's in that, in case you're looking for him there.
Yeah, no, definitely. But Ellie, I want to say, look, thank you so much for everything you do for me and Jack. And look, you pick us up when we're down, and when we are on good form, you make us better. So I really appreciate everything you do. And again, Ellie, I am going to say you got to stop this. I'm going to end off so that you can't keep doing this. But that's what I am going to do. And she says, one last for the Harris Army Appreciation Society. Come on, you Spurs, Ellie. Look, with all these super chats, about 3 years worth of Ben and Jerry's, to be honest with you. I could be stocked up for years here, Ellie.
Especially with that deal I showed you one time on Twitter, Dave. Especially with that deal, you'd be set up for life.
You were getting 2 tubs for the price we pay for one over here. That was a sweet deal.
That's what I was saying. No, Dave, not even. It was 3 for 10, Dave. It was 3 for 10. That was the deal.
Ridiculous.
3 Ben and Jerry's for 10. I've never seen it ever again. It was one moment, it was chance in a lifetime. I think whatever I got something like 12, Ben and Jerry's that night or something like that. It's just, I actually thought, David, when I came back, I actually thought I didn't get enough, if you ask me. I actually thought I probably should have gotten more. But honestly, Ellie, you're an absolute legend. And in terms of the appreciation that you've shown us, Ellie, we appreciate you. We appreciate you appreciating what we maybe are now, refer to ourselves as the positivity army, the positivity cult. So we do appreciate you appreciating us. And as well, Ellie, you're an absolute integral member, an absolute huge member of the Harris Army, as you well know, Ellie. But, everybody, Ellie, she's such a huge support to us, as well as Dark Sun G. And Dark Sun G, as always, Dark Sun G, we do really appreciate you. We appreciate you as well. I know Thomas James Smith, I just see arrived as well. Everybody that's donated tonight, no matter how big, no matter how small, everybody is such a legend to us. No matter what, even just putting in a like into the stream, everybody, you don't believe how much that helps us. Just helping the algorithm helps us. Just anything you give helps us. And as well, the Harris Army, there's no one stronger than the Harris Army. No one stronger. Honestly, you guys could probably get a bill passed in Congress, I swear.
Yeah, definitely could. And look, Ellie, be careful banding around terms like appreciation society. We don't want to be accused of being some sort of cult or something like that, So be careful about the words like society and stuff like that, But no, big up, Ellie. Really appreciate the love. Absolutely love it. Big respect. But look, we are going to end it off here. So look, Danny, where can people find you, my man?
You know where you can find me, man. You can find me here. That's where you can find me. I'm always about here. I'm like the homeless man, always trying to find a home. Do you know what I mean? That's me. So yeah, look, I'm here. I'm everywhere, but mostly I'm on the Irish Hotspur. I mean, it's the best channel on YouTube. Do you know what I mean? So where else better is there to be, mate?
No, look, Danny, I'm hearing a lot of that lately, so I appreciate that, my man. I appreciate that. Look, we don't think we're the best. We think we're far from it. There's always, ways to be better, which we will get better. Don't worry about that, but absolutely love it. Look, everyone, please follow Danny. He has great insight to these Kaniki answers. So please make sure you do get over there and follow him. Look, Danny, like you said, he's one of these guys. No matter what stream you turn on, he seems to be there at some stage, whether it's like, honestly, I've turned on streams in the day, Danny's been on it. I've turned on streams at 3 in the morning, Danny's been on it. So he'll be on any stream.
Putting in shifts.
Absolutely everywhere. But look, Jacko, one thing I want to do, what can we expect to find on the Flat Cap Euro Talk this week?
I just want to say, in terms of Flat Cap Euro Talk, there's a lot that can be found. Still, if you need any catch-ups, any summaries of the transfer market, I mean, there's plenty. I have everything from, my worst deals of the transfer market, ones that I think that might flop, to my best deals of the transfer market, ones that I think are the best of, all of Europe's top 5 leagues. And then I even chose for you guys 5 teams from all of Europe's top 5 leagues that I think, from each league won their league's respective transfer market. So who do I think in Serie A had the best, transfer market window? Who do I think in Liga had the best window? Probably a bit obvious over there, considering one team was playing FIFA over there. But it's just things like that, guys. I mean, and as well, just recently, obviously, Jack's Itch of the Week just came out. It's a bit more of a kind of relaxed, one, if you like, going on to the Itch banter. That one just came out. The weekend watch list is coming out tomorrow morning. I mean, it's going to be out before I even wake up. So please stay tuned for that. The weekend watch list, that's the place where you can, and especially considering the international break and everything, guys, if you need games to look for, if you need matches to look out for, the weekend watch list is your place to go. We'll be out at 8 a.m. UK time tomorrow morning for you guys. So you just know which games to keep an eye out for, which games to tell the missus, listen, it's RB Leipzig versus Bayern right now. It's Jesse Marsh's, managerial role on the line here. I need to watch this, whatever it may be. I mean, there's even a Turkish derby in there, I will admit. I'm trying to, maybe keep that as it's a bit of a preview, but a sneak peek, a Turkish derby will be happening this weekend as well. So guys, everybody, Flat Cap Euro Talk, no better place to go to, no better place to be. But I will give a huge shout out to Catman Jess, to Paro Miguel Escobardo, to Ribsy85, to AE, to Edelston. They're honestly all absolute legends. They've been huge supporters of the channel. To Shamu, of course, obviously to Shamu as well. But to everybody, to Paro Miguel Escobardo, to Catman Jess, to tons of legends, to Sean Snow as well. They've been all absolute legends, David, of the Flat Cap Euro Talk. They've been giving tons of suggestions for everything as well. Even for an itch of the week, Dave, they were giving me better suggestions than I had. They were saying, oh, you should have checked out this itch. He scored this brace. It was honestly fantastic. There's no stronger army than I would say even the Flat Cap army, Dave. It's honestly unbelievable. I would say I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of honestly having them as fans of the channel as well. Everybody, give a big up to Catman Jazz, Paro, Miguel Escobardo, Shamu. They're honestly so nice, so incredibly generous to the Flat Cap army as well.
Yeah, well, look, Jacko, it's all we could have asked for was just, some if we could have even got 2 of the Harris army over it, to get behind the channel and be as loyal. We were winning. The fact that we have, 250 now? It's
ridiculous.
It's look, guys, I just encourage everybody. Look, over these international breaks, they're very boring. What better time to fill your time over the international break with content from Jack over on the Flat Cap Euro Talk, where it's all things European football. So guys, make sure you do get over there, check it out. Me and Jack will be doing a breakdown of Jack will be doing a breakdown of Champions League groups. I'm there to disagree with him, so make sure you tune in for that. That should be very fun.
Good plug.
Guys, please do get over there and support the channel. I can't stress enough. And the link for it is in the description below. So please click on it, get over there and smash and subscribe. Look, even if you hate European football, you don't want anything to know about it, it doesn't matter. Still smash that subscribe button. You know, still smash.
Well, because Tottenham, I mean, there's most of the time it's still, like I said, you know, even if you don't like that European content, like if you need to just tap into it when you know you need to, who better to get it from than, you know, somebody from the Harris Army, somebody from the Flat Cap Army, somebody from just a Spurs fan in general, you know, who better to get that information from? You know, you don't want it coming from a Man United fan, if you ask me, David. You don't want it coming from a Chelsea fan. You don't want, especially it coming from, let's say, you know, fan of the Hammers or anything like that, you know, some sort of bias and corruption like that. So all I will say is there's no better place to go than the Flat Cap Army, than to Flat Cap Euro Talk if you need any of that European, you know, information outside of Spurs.
No, 100%, 100%. Look, at the end of the day, he's a Spurs lad, Spurs through and through. Help the guy out. Look, in terms of what you can expect here, come back tomorrow at 9:30 as usual. We will have the preview for the Crystal Palace game, where we will have all the updates from Nuno's press conference on the injuries and maybe a bit of an insight who will be playing. Then tune in Friday, guys. What's coming Friday, I hear you asking, screaming at me. Dave, tell me. So I'm going to tell you. Right, well, we have Stats with Jack coming Friday. You know, one of the only shows on YouTube that has this tactical pad, you know, that we use, that, you know, you guys, you know, can get a good insight. Rather than us sitting here talking about tactics, we can show you. We can show you. You know, we went and sourced this. We went and got it made for ourselves just to be able to do this for you guys. So make sure you tune in Friday for Stats with Jack and get a visual on the tactics, where we can hurt Palace, where they can hurt us, how they like to attack, how they like to defend, how we like to do it, and everything stats-wise. So tune in for that. Then, of course, Saturday, you will find me over on We Are Tottenham TV for the pre-match pump-up, and I'm back here at 9:30 Saturday evening for the Palace review. And then I'll be honest with you guys, Sunday's a bit of a holy day. Plus, it's my ma's birthday, so there will not be anything on Sunday. It's a day where, you know, we're going to let you, the Harris Army, go, and you can do, you know, you can do whatever you want on a Sunday. Just don't do anything that'll get you in trouble or arrested or anything like that. And then just quickly, Ellie says, Flat Cap Army subs. Absolutely love it. Really, Ellie, I told you. You know, Ellie, I'm going to end off now because you know, I'm going to stop you from doing this. Nah, look, Ellie, I really appreciate it. You're way too kind. You're way too nice to us. And look, you're always good banter, I have to say. I did actually try and ring you back earlier on. So look, maybe we can have a conversation tomorrow, Ellie. But no, look, I really appreciate it. And of course, Flat Cap Army subs, definitely. Everyone get over there to Flat Cap Euro Talk and smash the subscribe. Ellie, you're way too nice. You're an absolute queen. And thank you so much. And I really look forward to your and Philip's shows coming out. I think it's going to be good. We sat there yesterday, Jack, you know, coming up with all the ideas and everything else for it. So it should be, I'm going to say it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be
even the titles, Dave. The titles are unbelievable. I mean, the titles just roll off the tongue. I would say even the ones that Ellie gave to me today. I was saying to her, I was like, Ellie should probably be applying, you know, for the Guardian, you know, with some of these titles, you know, not coming on to the Harris Army, you know, honestly. But she's decided to stick with us, David. She's decided to stick with us, you know, bring on her talents over to the Harris Army, bring it on over to the Irish Hotspur. Yeah. And we couldn't be more happy. We couldn't be more proud. But Ellie, as always, really do appreciate you. Really do appreciate you. And as well, anybody that hasn't subscribed to Flat Cap Euro Talk, please do. If it is that place for you to, you know, distract yourself from anything Spurs, head on over to Flat Cap Euro Talk. Please appreciate it.
100%. Big up, Ellie. Really appreciate it. Aaron Dove says, you guys still going? Wow, I've been to Mari's Love Lounge and back. Yeah, look, today was a very, very, very debatey show. Look, Jack, you know, he put us all in the mire with the questions. Me, Danny, and Nick, we were sitting there sweating, and, you know, we wanted to make sure we gave the very best answers possible. Look, it's been an absolute great show. But look, you shouldn't be jumping off. You should be staying here for the whole show, Aaron. I'm disappointed, my man. I'm disappointed. Nah, look, we've got time for Mary as well. I like Mary. Nah, look, I'll forgive you this once, Aaron. I'll forgive you this once. Mr. K in doing his shift work again, clocking in. Big up, Mr. K. Really, really, really appreciate it, man. And look, I suppose you're with Aaron. Lad, you know, jumping across the Maui stream and coming back. No, Mr. K, big up. Really appreciate it. But look, we are going to end off there. We need to start letting some people get some sleep, Jacko. Now, look, guys, Harris Army, really appreciate every single one of you. I love every single one of you. Look, I keep saying this channel is absolutely nothing without you guys. Otherwise, it's just going to be us three sitting here talking to each other. You know, with you guys coming in with the comments, with the super chats, the likes, the comments underneath the videos. It's all a massive, massive help to any YouTube channel out there. It really does help them on their way to be able to put out, you know, better and better content. So, guys, you all play a massive part. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever underestimate yourselves and how much you provide to a channel. Big yourselves up. In the Harris Army, we trust. In Nuno, we trust. In the Flat Cap Army, we trust. In the Dave Army, we trust. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Spurs.